Hello everyone, welcome to What If Issei Got Betrayed and Become the Crimson Dragon God of Arcadia Part 9. Before we start, please go support RageRevan and Darkdecade97 for writing that awesome fanfic. Now let's begin. Chapter 29. The final battle begins. Many months later, Issei's laboratory, Hades' residence, Arcadia, 9:30 am. Issei was back in his personal laboratory. It was his futuristic laboratory that housed several of his gadgets and even magical spells. This included all 12 of his current god keys, which included the Void Archives, a powerful god key that can recreate anything it understands. It has the appearance of a semi-transparent cube that is orangish gold in color. This includes any sacred gear as well that it can understand, however they are weaker than the original for now. Issei nicknamed this god key number 1, also nicknamed the Key of Revelation. The second was the god key number 2, the Cosmic Juggernaut, a locomotive that can travel to any location in this entire universe, and this includes his old Earth as well, however that was yet to be seen. This was nicknamed the Key of Infinity. The third was the god key number 3, the Thunder Sniper or the Seven Thunders of Retribution, which was a sniper rifle which can shoot bolts of electricity, capable of even incapacitating a heavenly dragon. At its strongest, this can even disintegrate a person to atomic levels. This was nicknamed the Key of Conquest. The fourth was the god key number 4, the Ion Satellite. This was a satellite laser that could easily generate and command weather completely. It could even override the opposing user's control over weather itself. It can also restore the damage done and recover it completely. This was nicknamed the Key of Meteorology, before it was given a better title, the Key of Restoration. The fifth was the god key number 5, the Great Hibernation. This was a specialized device which when triggered generates coffin or pods made of ice that is known to preserve a person's body and can have absolute command of the ice element, even overwhelming someone else's control over ice. This was nicknamed the Key of Isolation. The sixth was the god key number 6, the Black Abyss White Flower. This was a god key that can have absolute control over creation and destruction, with White Flower controlling creation and Black Abyss doing the opposite. It can create and destroy matter as well as split into two swords, each serving the same purpose. This was nicknamed the Key of Creation. The seventh was god key number 7, the Judgment of Shamash, which can generate flames as hot as the sun, but soon it would be generating flames even stronger than that. It was described to be two twin revolvers that can shoot such fiery flames. This was nicknamed the Key of Destruction. The eighth was the god key number 8, Fengyuan Down, which was described to be a small jewelry that can create unending dreams and illusions. Through manipulation of the brain's electrical signals, it can link together multiple consciousnesses for communication and destroy memories. Its full power can allow the user to mind control and conscience transfer into the key. This was nicknamed the Key of Sentience. The ninth was the god key 9, the Star of Eden, a staff that can manipulate gravity magic to a degree of generating black holes that consume everything. The target consumed by this black hole has his soul destroyed and can't recover at all. They are gone forever. This is nicknamed the Key of Devouring. The 10th was the god key 10, the Grips of Tai Shuan, two grips that can manipulate anything that the user desires, allowing them to dominate anything that it can understand. This was nicknamed the Key of Domination. The 11th was the god key 11, the Oath of Judah, allowing the user to completely nullify any attack that would come towards it, completely silencing its power, making it unable to use at all. They will be powerless to do anything. This was nicknamed the Key of Binding. The final and 12th was the god key 12, the Jizo which could corrupt anything it comes into contact with, including other weapons as well, excluding other god keys. This was nicknamed the Key of Corruption. These were the 12 god keys that Issei made in his almost 4 years since he came here. Only Juniper, Willow, and Issei's family and the Arc siblings know the existence of all 12 god keys. However, the Judgment of Shamash, Cosmic Juggernaut and Grips of Tai Shuan were known by many others. This resulted in Juniper suggesting him to find a way where only he can use the 12 god keys and can only give temporary command to those he trusts, which Issei responded by developing nanomachines made up of Salium, the same material made to develop the god keys. These nanomachines would activate if the god keys wielded by someone else other than Issei and anyone with temporary control. It would trigger an ID lock, which would lock the weapon, making it completely useless. The Void Archives will lose its glow when it becomes ID locked, for instance. Issei groaned. He has been working on Metal Gear Excelsis, which he was able to salvage from his time in Earth 8. He was almost done with it and now it was fully operational and it was controlled by Issei using his boosted gear, and Drake can enter the Metal Gear and control it when he needs to. Almost done. Issei mused as Drake responded, seems like our brilliant inventor is back. In full swing. You managed to repair it in 2 days. Upgrade it in 12 days, making it better, you truly are something. Drake remembered on Issei focusing on the magic aspects of the Metal Gear, making it even more resilient than it was before and adding a command control to it as well. Drake, come on, you making me embarrassed. It was not easy to do so, there was barely anything to do so. Issei begrudgingly agreed that Carmilla was a genius to have made such things. Not only did she develop devices that could bring Arcadia to its knees, like the gas attacks, but also she was still able to deal with threats stronger than her, escape and dare the Arcadians to do something about it. Regardless, you should be proud of yourself. Many see you as a hero and savior that has fought against many enemies, defended Arcadia, and the Empress herself as well. You even went so far as to help fight alongside the rest of the Arc family when time is right. Drake mused in response as he added, you are the best best friend and a true friend I could have asked for. Issei stayed silent for a moment, he knew Drake meant a lot to him, as he soon gave a smile and nodded in agreement. He continued to work on the Metal Gear, thus completing it as time passed. However, before Issei could celebrate, someone decided to knock on the door. This was Persephone as she spoke. Ice-chan, are you free? Yeah mom, let me just get down and open the door. Issei spoke as he headed outside. He left the Metal Gear back there as he soon opened the door. Persephone was waiting for Issei to come out. Earlier she had forced him to take a bath and get a change of clothes. Issei wanted to argue due to his hunger, but a glare from his mother forced him to think otherwise. He often used to work hours in his lab when he gets interested in a thing. Soon enough, he came out, looking completely different. Persephone failed to notice the change due to her living with him almost on a daily basis. He was now a tall, brown-eyed man with matching brown hair that has a small white streak. He wears a gray and white dress coat with a scarf and black armor on his chest. He also now wore glasses, dark brown pants, black shoes, and a black glove on his right hand. Those glasses are, however, only there for style. Is it just me, or you look different, Ice-chan? Issei looked in surprise as he responded, what do you mean? Here, take a look. Persephone removed her scroll detailing his old image as she gave it to him, as Issei looked at his appearance and his current one in the mirror, as he chuckled and spoke, well, I guess I do look a little different. You almost seem like a fully grown adult than opposed to your teenager self. Anyways, the others should be arriving soon enough. Let's have a conversation till then. Issei nodded as Persephone asked, so from how your appearance was, I believe you are close to done with the Excelsis. Persephone asked to Issei, who responded, yep, I added 2 machine guns and made it more resilient to magical attacks and capable of even firing laser bolts in space. That way the Metal Gear can also be used in space as well for any upcoming space battles that we may have. I see, you really have been hard at work and sometimes you barely take rest. I wonder what would have happened had I not been there to check on you. Persephone mused as Issei spoke while rubbing his head, I guess, so are you planning on joining the military? I did my service a while back and completed my personal studies there. I am already a graduate at Academy of Carano, while the girls have already done theirs from Strixhaven and Hades is done from Magicaline Academy. I believe you remember that I was a Platinum tier enchantress. Issei nodded as he remembered when she was promoted to Platinum during her time at graduation. And we have a graduate from the Academy of Magic and the Academy. You are capable of building the 12 God Keys and even repaired and upgraded the Excelsis. Issei gave a smile as well. Soon the bell started to ring as Persephone speaks. It's them, I will see them, finish your food, okay. Issei nodded as Persephone got up. He quickly ate all the cookies and joined her moments later. Scene change. The rest of Issei's family has arrived as Issei noticed Office looking completely different as he spoke. Wow, Office, you look completely different. Office nodded as she gave a smile and spoke with happiness. I am glad you liked it and you also look completely different. Office looked at Issei, who had also completely changed as well. She is a beautiful girl in her mid-20s with considerably large breasts, a round rear and slender legs, all donned in a revealing Gothic Lolita dress. She was much taller than before, almost 5'10" in height. Persephone had brought some snacks for her family as they all took a seat. Even Great Red had arrived as he spoke. Office is right, you really do look different. Issei nodded in agreement. He did really look different, and so did Office. Great Red was in his dragonoid form, allowing him to enter the house without a problem. Office immediately started munching on the chocolate sweets that were present, gobbling them without hesitation. Office then brought out the plate and demanded, more, I want more of these chocolate sweets. Persephone's sweat dropped at this as she spoke, I will bring more, just don't finish everything right away, alright. Office nodded, although Persephone sighed knowing she will end up finishing everything. She decided to bring more of them and after a while. Anyways, I believe that the war is coming to a close, right? Great Red asked Issei, to which he responded, soon enough, most of the allies of the Black Arms have fallen, and from what I heard John and his original 15 was responsible for the defeat of the Atlas Corporation. Heard they did a lot of damage and were one of the ones primarily responsible for the gas attacks a year and a half ago. Office and Great Red growled upon the attack that had happened to the Kingdom of Dragons, claiming the lives of several dragons, while Hades and his daughters clenches hid fists in anger as he remembered the traitors that had caused many of his people to die. One of the traitors were Lilith and her batch of demons, which were a major problem. Not to mention, outer heaven has fallen, and many of the soldiers will be dealt with, and soon this would result in the fall of Black Arms and the end of this war permanently. Issei spoke, as Hades responded. Yes, I am aware, Lilith and her batch of traitors were a problem. Many have been killed for now, but there are still remnants that we need to deal with. Someone then spoke in response. You are right on that one. Persephone spoke as she continued, I remember personally killing her once and for all, alongside you. But there are still demons left that we need to deal with. Those traitors will pay for what they did to Charon and Thanatos all those months ago. Hades spoke coldly, as the people in the room agreed to it. Issei then added, yep, and with the leader's fall, the war is soon coming to a close. It really is the end. You are right, Ice-chan. Melano spoke in agreement, as Macaria responded. They tried to harm Thanatos and Charon, and they will pay with blood. Macaria responded angrily as Melano added. Macaria is right, I hate on how they managed to breach through us and harmed our family. Melano spoke angrily as Hades calms his daughter down, while speaking, those responsible are either dead or they are hiding. We will deal with them soon enough. You are right, Dad. Melano added, as Macaria spoke trying to change the topic. Anyways, let's change the topic. What happened to the Metal Gear Excelsis? It's there in my laboratory, and it is ready for battle. Macaria nodded as she spoke, seems like that, it's a good thing Mom and us are looking after you, otherwise you would have lost track of time. Issei only rubbed his head, as he soon turned to Mocha and asked, so how is your time at the Kingdom of Vampires? It is quite well, I met Juniper's maid Letitia, and she seems like a really nice person, and even Gasper I hope that I can reach the high rank soon enough. Mocha spoke, as Persephone responded while keeping the plate down, as Office started to munch on the cookies, I believe you will, you have already joined the 501st, right? Yes, I am just a corporal, since we have been having more and more battles against the Black Arms and fighting in wars. Mocha spoke, remembering the assaults and wars that they had to fight against the Black Legion, Atlas Corporation, SDF and many more corporations. Even Melano and Macaria got promoted as they both have become Staff Sergeant and Nyx and Invictus had become Sergeant Majors. And I was there when Jean promoted you. I believe that we will be having more wars, so keep working hard and I believe you will succeed. Issei spoke, as Mocha agreed. Nyx then spoke. Anyways, what plans do you have once you are done with the war? Issei thought for a moment as he spoke. I am not sure myself honestly, I will probably go to the Outlands, always wanted to head there, or maybe I will myself do what John did and head to the Darklands. It will allow me to find the materials and magic needed create the last God Key, which will combine all 12 God Keys in one. Issei's words made them all stunned and shocked, they knew how powerful and dangerous each one is, and this would basically make him truly unstoppable. Issei then spoke. This will be my final God Key before I ultimately close Project Honkai, since it would be complete after that. Issei ended his words, as Nyx spoke, I see. Nyx was happy that Issei would dive into any extents to protect his family, with great Red in office, noting that if he was able to perform this, he would surpass them by miles. Since he would not only gain aspects that they have, but also gain even more aspects as well. Hades suddenly got a call, as he spoke, yes. I am on my way. Hades cuts the call, as Persephone asks, is something wrong, darling? Just some work I have to do, since the war is coming to a close, we will be needing to prepare for the final attack. Hades spoke, as he then speaks, well, we will all be taking our leave and heading back, I believe you should also prepare for the final assault. I will, Dad I will. Hades gives a smile, as he turns to Melano and Macaria, and speaks, you two should also come, I will be needing help from you two as well. Yes, Dad, we will come as well. Macaria spoke with an understanding tone, as they all four say their goodbyes and head in a magic circle towards the kingdom of hell. Red, we should also head out, I believe we should arm the dragons and get them ready for war. Office spoke, as Great Red nodded, he was used to his nickname, as Office soon turned to Issei and spoke, we will be leaving Issei. Issei nodded, but before he could respond, she kissed him on the lips much to everyone's surprise and shock, including Issei's own shock as well. I'm back, alive. Office spoke with a slight red expression, while Nyx had a jealous expression on his face, as she pouted in jealousy. Great Red could only grin, as he soon lost his grin and backed away seeing Nyx's jealous expression, as the two dragons soon teleported away. Issei looked at his lips and touched it, as he could only speak in surprise, what? He soon flinched when he sensed a jealous aura, as she spoke, Issei, what was that all about? I myself don't know. Issei spoke while rubbing his head as he continued, I should probably talk to her once this war is over. Nyx remained jealous, as she spoke, I wanted to do that to you when you are ready, but Office stole that way from me. Nyx sniffled, she feared confessing to Issei, due to his past trauma, Issei could only look at her and pull her in close for a hug, as she spoke with a smile, you mean a lot to me, Nyx. I am not going to lie, had you not been there, who knows what would have happened to me. Nyx melted into his hug. He continued, I wouldn't even be the same person, you, Hades and family, office, Great Red, Willow Sensei and the Arc family, they helped me a lot, and I owe you a lot. Nyx hugged into him, as Issei only rubbed her head. He really cared for her a lot, and that is not going to change, no matter what happens. Scene change. Issei's office, Arcadian Military Headquarters, 12:30 p.m. Issei was working on some of the paperwork in his office, as 2 new members had joined in the 501st Legion. He was checking whether they were fit or not, as he spoke. Well, their resumes seem fit. I do need an advanced recon trooper in my squadron, and she seems perfect, as well as a knight that would be useful for close-range combat. I have a Keno, but another wouldn't be a problem. Issei mused as he spoke to someone on the intercom and spoke. Listen, tell Rias to test these 2, see if they are fit for the 501st, and ask her to send me a report of them as soon as possible. Issei's words were agreed by the other person, as he soon lied on the seat and spoke. Welp, ever since we took down the Black Arms, and several of the new recruits want to join us, I'm promising, others not as much. Suddenly a magic circle opens up revealing Juniper and then Willow as she speaks. Ice, hope we am not disturbing. Issei shook his head as he spoke, just got free. What is the matter? We are planning to end this war here, take a look. Juniper spoke as she showed him an image on a scroll, as in spoke, wait Juniper, before you show doesn't Issei look different? No. Not at all, why? Juniper spoke confused as Willow also agreed, Issei still looked the same, as Juniper soon realized this and spoke, oh I see, it is because of the glasses, right. Issei, would you remove your glasses? Issei nodded as he did so, as in spoke, so you decided to do a makeover, recently? Even your voice sounds different. Yeah, thought I'd look different and puberty did strike me quite well. Issei mused as in seemed to nod in agreement. Issei then spoke, so, what brings you guys here, anyway, aside from ending this war? We were going to show you this. Juniper showed an image right at the top of remnant space near the Outlands, as she explained. Turns out the Black Arms are amassing a huge naval fleet up in the space, we need to attack them right now. Willow and nodded in agreement as Issei asked, Juniper, could it be? No Issei, I am not going to repeat the mistake I did a year ago, you almost got killed, and I am not going to let that happen. I have already discussed this with everyone including Anne and Willow, with Jean, and we are going all out on this one. It is time we end this war. It's time we take the fight to them. Juniper then continued, as she spoke seeing Issei's unconvinced face. Issei, I know you don't seem convinced, but have faith in me, the Black Arms are cornered, and there is no way we can lose this, have faith in me. Issei could only nod, as in spoke, but that is not all, we want you to lead the field alongside Juniper. Me? Why? There could be someone better than me out there. And shook her head and spoke, no Issei, I have seen on how you lead the battle, you will always find a way to protect your troops from damage, and even in your early battles, you minimize casualties as much as you could. That is why, both of you will be leading the battle. I will try my best, so when does the final battle begin? Juniper spoke as she looked at the clock, in a few hours, gather your best pilots, since all of Arcadia is coming up for this fight. I see Juniper nodded, as Issei remembered her to tell her something, as he spoke, oh this reminds me, I wanted to tell you something, it's a new form that I have gained. Using my boosted gear. What is it, Ice? What is this new form? Juniper asked with surprise, she knew Diabolo's dragon was strong, which means this form what exactly it is, as he explained. I believe I told you that I wanted to merge my god keys one day and create some sort of a powerful form that would eclipse Diabolo's dragon by miles. This is an early successful version of combining one god key with a boosted gear. It allows me to fight in space while using my boosted gear. The 3 were surprised by this, as Willow asked, okay, and what form is this called? I call this Issei spoke after a small pause, Apocalypse Antsworms. A few hours later. Arcadian airspace. Issei was with Nyx who was co-piloting Ragnarok. The naval fleet comprised of Arcadian star destroyers and Arcadian cruisers and even regular ships, with Ragnarok and Imperial Plasma Starfighter. Juniper then decided to make a speech. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight marks a pivotal moment in our collective history, the culmination of our steadfast resolve to bring an end to the nefarious reign of the Black Arms. For far too long, these malevolent forces have wrought devastation upon our lands, claiming the lives of countless innocents and beloved kin in their relentless pursuit of absolute dominion. Yet, tonight, we stand united, resolute in our determination to stem the tide of suffering and usher in an era of peace and prosperity for our people. The sacrifices endured, the lives lost, they shall not be in vain. We vow to honor their memory by vanquishing the tyrants who have inflicted such profound anguish upon us. Juniper kept speaking, as many started to remember all those that have harmed their people, angered by what had happened, they vowed to never let this happen. Nicholas Kane, Vlad Ark, Carmilla Leichenberg, and all those who have colluded with the Black Arms shall face the full weight of justice. Their malevolent grip on power shall be shattered and their machinations brought to naught. No longer shall they sow fear and discord amongst us, for tonight marks the dawn of their demise. Issei remembered on how they harmed Sharon, Elizabeth and many others for their own selfish goals. Nyx also remembered on how the deathless were harmed for their selfish goals. Let us march forth with unwavering resolve, fueled by the righteous indignation of those who have been wronged. Though the road ahead may be fraught with peril, we shall not falter nor waver in our pursuit of retribution. Together, we shall reclaim that which was taken from us and ensure that our cherished homeland remains forever free from the shadow of tyranny. Juniper's words were agreed by the Arc siblings, or at least those that have joined the fight, with Bianca commanding the ships in her platoon, alongside Aqua and Saffron. Tonight, we rise as beacons of hope, as champions of justice, as guardians of our collective destiny. The hour of reckoning is upon us, and we shall emerge victorious, for we fight not only for ourselves, but for the generations yet unborn. Let the banners of liberation unfurl, and let our battle cry resound throughout the ages, for tonight, we avenge what we have lost, and forge a brighter future for all. Juniper's words were cheered by everyone, as she took a deep breath. Suddenly a message popped up which was revealed to be in Ren in her own battleship, as she spoke. That was quite the speech, Juniper mused with a smile, thanks, after all I am the best. Either way. Willow spoke, as she motioned towards the location where the Black Arms are present. As she spoke, they are here, it is time we end this fight once and for all. You are right, Issei, can you hear me? Juniper asked, to which another voice spoke, loud and clear, I will trigger the apocalypse antsworms once we get closer to the base. If Carmilla finds out about this form, she will find a counterplan to it. I don't want to risk it. Understood. Juniper spoke, as Willow responded, Issei, once you do transform, just let us know, alright? Issei nodded in response as he spoke. Yep, got it. Issei cuts off the call, as Juniper looks forward ready to end this war against her former husband. Meanwhile, Issei was with Nyx, as he spoke, Nyx, when I use apocalypse antsworms, I want you to pilot the Ragnarok, alright? Nyx nodded in agreement as she spoke, leave it to me. Issei nodded as the ship started to move forward, as they slowly and steadily. Soon enough, they witnessed the base of the Black Arms. It was a huge base that was guarded by several star destroyers and cruisers. It was a space station that was towering and had several buildings, almost akin to a black castle with red highlights. It had a red streak surrounding the location as well. You ready for this? Issei spoke to Drake as he responded, you bet I am. Issei activated a dimension cube as he readied the cosmic juggernaut. He looked at the ships that were guarding them. These were the cruisers known as Hurricanes-class cruisers. These were surrounded by several Blackbird-class cruisers which were smaller than the Hurricane class, as well as the Black Arms ships. The Black Arms were alerted to this, as the ships were ready for the maneuver and attacked the Arcadian fleet, as suddenly a message transmitted to Issei up on Issei, Juniper, and then Willow's console. They looked to see one man in front of them, as Juniper glared at him, and so did Anne, Willow, Issei and Nyx, as Nicholas spoke. It seems like the war is at an climax, my dear wife. Nicholas's words made Juniper seethe. He had no right to call her his wife, especially after what he had done. He soon turned his gaze to Issei and spoke, you too, you persistent general, you and that son of mine have been causing so many problems to me and my Black Arms. You will die in this war, Issei, after that I will go after your world, recruit and ally myself with the factions. They will be quite useful in wiping Arcadia down, since that was the place that made someone like you. I believe that there would be some others that would be willing to work with me. Don't make promises you can't fulfill, Nicholas Kane, and I should expect this attitude from you, after all you never cared about your own kids. You really think you can kill us and get away with it? You have been failing so far. Issei ended with a mocking tone, as Nicholas gave a glare, and soon added. Even if you do bring those that are from Issei's world, who's to say they will work with a power-hungry and genocidal maniac like you? Anne's words only made Nicholas laugh at her, as he turned to Issei and spoke. You never told them about your past, didn't you? Nicholas looked towards Issei, as Juniper watched with anger. He was once again going to use Issei's past against him, while Anne and Willow were confused, as Issei spoke with a smile. I will tell them when it is right, and besides, Juniper knows everything. She knows what really happened, and besides, you are almost like my so-called brother. Anyways, it matters not, all your hopes and dreams will get destroyed. We have been destroying it so far, and we will do it again. Issei is right, your dream of an Arcadia where dissent is crushed and obedience is absolute will never come to pass. Your new era will die with you, Nicholas, Juniper declared coldly, as Nicholas gritted his teeth. He was unable to affect Issei's past, as Willow snapped out of her confusion and spoke. My student did not tell us about his past because we had a feeling that it was terrible enough to not disclose it, and why should you care? Issei will tell us his past when he feels comfortable with. I have a feeling that he already discussed this with Juniper, since she is the only one that was aware of it. Willow mused in response as and spoke in agreement. Willow is right, I am not going to pressurize him in revealing his past if he does not want to, in any way. You can go to the darkest depths of hell, that is where you truly belong. Nicholas came and spoke coldly as Nicholas was not happy, but before he could respond, they all shut off his communications, as they did not want to hear him in any way. Let's get a move on. Issei led the charge alongside Juniper, as they all agreed to keep moving forward. Soon enough the battleships started to fire their attacks at each other, with the Black Arms starting to fire towards the Arcadian fleet, with the Arcadian fleet firing back. Issei spoke in the console, 501st, formation, attack pattern V. Issei's voice was agreed by all the 501st battleships that were present, which included the V-19 Torrents, along with several Arcadian battleships. They were accompanied by Endeavour-class battlecruisers that accompanied the Ragnarok. Alongside, a ship that was piloted by Rias Gremory, the co-leader of the 501st, along with the Shadows, that looked akin to a cargo ship, but it was meant for battle as well. They were the Shadow Stealth-class attack shuttle. They all started to fire at the Black Arms ships, as they were able to destroy some of their smaller cruisers with ease. However, they aren't aware of their biggest surprise. Issei saw that a huge ship was coming forward, and he had to get ready on what will happen next. He could see the weapons on the ship, enough to even wipe out any fleets. It was ready to fire at Issei's fleet. This was Carmilla's own personal capital ship, the Executioner. Prepare for fire towards Ragnarok and the Shadow Stealth-class attack shuttles. They are the main targets, then focus on the Imperial Plasma Starfighter. I want them wiped out. Carmilla commanded her Black Arm officer, who responded, "As you wish, Lady Carmilla." The officer started to fire at the Arcadian fleet, as Issei did not waste any time, and commanded, "Nix, pilot the Ragnarok. I am activating the Antsworms, Juniper." Juniper spoke from the console, "Yes, Issei, it is time to show them what we are capable of." Issei nodded as he activated the hatch. Nyx took a deep breath and closed her mouth. As he soon closed it, he activated the Cosmic Juggernaut as the train manifested alongside Issei, as he created a small air barrier surrounding him and the Cosmic Juggernaut and shouted, "Infinite combination." Issei shouted the code word into the Cosmic Juggernaut, who responded, "Activation approved." Issei combined soon with the Cosmic Juggernaut, as a smile could be seen in his face. He had prepared something beforehand that allowed him to protect his fleet in case they are dealing with something that would destroy them with ease. The boosted gear announces loudly, which was unable to be heard in the vacuum of space. Carmilla soon fires onto her designated targets as a bright light consumes the entire field. Issei speaks something immediately as he knew how to deal with this blast. Soon the blast created a dust screen as the Black Arms and Vlad cheered for their defeat. Carmilla and Nicholas had a small smile as they could only hope that Issei did not counter this ability. When the dust settled, Carmilla could only look in horror and anger as she exclaimed. But Carmilla was surprised by what he was seeing, and so was Nicholas. There was a huge battle station next to the Arcadian fleet. This was Apocalypse Antsworms, and it was described to have a transformed Cosmic Juggernaut at the top, as Issei was in his scale mail armor, which looked like a battle suit. How was Issei able to do this? It was not simply combining with the Cosmic Juggernaut that allowed him to do so. Many things were flowing into his brain as Issei's scale mail's tail was being inserted into the Cosmic Juggernaut's ports, allowing a connection to be formed as it soon transformed into a mobile battle station. The form was created by using Issei's own body, which was used as a medium. The Cosmic Juggernaut scooped it out and embodied the part which otherwise would be limited by his body. And by connecting with this form, the manifestation of Great Red's power was complete, along with the powers of the Cosmic Juggernaut. "This is my new form, Black Arms, Oxa, shortened for Apocalypse Antsworms," Issei declared across the battlefield, as many looked in surprise and amazement, seeing what he is capable of. Jade was drooling seeing this, wondering if she can ask more about this form later on, when he has time. "So this is Apocalypse Antsworms," Juniper spoke, as she soon had a smile. She then commanded, "Everyone, surround the Apocalypse Antsworms. Issei, destroy any star destroyers or cruisers that get in your way." "As you wish." Carmilla gritted her teeth in fury. Once again Issei was able to outplay her. She wondered how Issei was able to protect his fleet completely. The answer was simple. Issei used one of his abilities, Revelation Barrier, to protect his fleet, which was able to prevent them from being damaged. He had already used Answer multiple times, which was a variation of Boost, to protect his fleet. It was mere seconds from striking Ragnarok, and Issei was able to save them in the nick of time. Scene change. Black Arm Space Station, 7:30 p.m. Vlad was watching the Apocalypse Antsworms with anger in his eyes as he growled, "That damned Hyoudou always getting in my way." However, all of a sudden, Nicholas spoke, "I believe I may have a solution, Vlad." "What?" Vlad retorted angrily, turning his head towards him as he continued, "Your plans have been foiled by Hyoudou at every step. What makes you think that we will succeed in this one?" "Simple, this." Nicholas spoke as he used his free hand to grab Vlad's mouth and stab Vlad in the back, much to his horror. Vlad then spoke with a muffled tone, "You." Honestly Vlad, your stupidity is the reason why our plans keep foiling. Issei managed to get the metal gear that was given to you and used it for his own purposes. You led your troops recklessly into battle, and when things go south, you run away. Nicholas spoke with a cackle as he continued. Did you think I wouldn't know about you stabbing me and Carmilla in the back once we win this war? I have seen you talking with some of my allies, the same allies that we gathered. Had it not been for us, you would have been rotting in the outlands. Consider this repayment for your failure and betrayal. Nicholas removed his blade as he could see Vlad seething in anger. He created a nail and tried to aim it towards Nicholas's head as he failed to do so. The only thing that could be seen was a dark smirk on his face as he spoke. Oh please, did you think that we wouldn't plan against you, should you plan on turning on us? Vlad looked in horror as Nicholas countered while looking at the blood-soaked dagger. The dagger I stabbed you with was poisoned. It had holy magic infused in it, which would weaken your curse magic, which would purify the curse magic, thus purifying you as well. This is a death sentence for someone like you. Before Vlad could speak, he coughed up blood and grunted as he soon fell to the ground dead. He cursed Nicholas in his final moments as Nicholas spoke with a sigh. Shame our partnership had to end like this. You helped me a lot, and had you stayed loyal, none of this would have happened. Nicholas spoke as he remembered Vlad speaking about some of his soldiers as he planned on betraying Nicholas and escaping with his life. He looked at the dagger and dropped it as he wondered if Carmilla would make another dagger to defeat Hyoudou once and for all. Chapter 30. Apocalyptic Assault. Issei was watching the battlefield as he looked at the scene from his visor. He was not affected by the vacuum of space due to his body being made of great red's flesh. He looked around at the field since, even if Issei was not in his armor, he can easily breathe in space. Well, it seems like everything went according to plan. Issei spoke as he looked around to see the ships fighting. He was contacted by Juniper as she spoke. I never thought that your Apocalypse Antsworms is a literal mobile station. You really do have a lot of tricks up your sleeves, don't you Ice? You got that right, Juniper, although we need to take down that ship right over there. Issei pointed towards the ship that attacked them the first time as Juniper nodded in agreement. I agree, and I do have a gut feeling that Carmilla is the one that is piloting that thing. Juniper looked towards the ship as Issei responded, judging by that tone, you really want her dead, don't you? Wishful thinking, Ice, wishful thinking. She always found a way to escape from my grasps. Juniper mused in response as Issei responded, seems like that, this thing still has a lot of moves I haven't worked out yet. I see which move was that, which you used to protect the fleet. Issei spoke in response, it's called Revelation Barrier, which has complete protection of any magical blast, even god-level blasts can't do anything, and from what I can tell, it is going to get stronger as time passes by. The only problem is that, I can't keep this form permanently, it is rapidly reducing my mana reserves. Issei spoke, as Juniper spoke with concern, why did you not tell me this? An oversight I failed to notice. A sigh could be heard from Juniper's tone as she spoke, please don't be reckless like that, I don't wish to lose you. Worry not, I should be able to keep this suit up for an hour before I start reaching mana exhaustion levels, but there is a chance I can use the mother crystal to restore my mana. I should have some in my pocket dimension. Juniper looked at Issei and spoke with a smile, I guess that should do, but I have some if you need it. You are basically piloting an entire space station, so you are going to need a lot of mana. You are right on that one. Well, let's end this battle and go home. Juniper nodded in agreement and hummed in response as she cuts off the call. Issei looks at the battle scene as he could see Rias and the 501st clashing against the Black Arms forces as Issei spoke to Drake, let's get a move on. You bet bestie, let's fight once and for all, Drake declared as Issei piloted the space station forward as several ships and Star Destroyers joined them in the fight. He looked to see even the Arc siblings, minus Afrin, Aqua and Bianca joined the fight as well. Black Arm Space Station, 8 p.m. Two Black Arm soldiers were taking the corpse away as Nicholas watched the battle unfold. The mastermind behind the Arc Civil War was watching with a serious tone. He had a feeling that Issei would come up with something to counter his plans, like he does. But he was not expecting him to bring out an entire mobile space station that he can command at will. Orders, Sir. Nicholas, one of the Black Arm soldiers, had spoken. He had disposed off Vlad's corpse. Nicholas thought for a moment as he watched the two sides clash in a laser battle against each other as they try to get an upper hand against the other. Some ships were being damaged, while he could see Issei protecting his fleet with its abilities. He also noticed the Imperial Plasma Starfighter maneuvering around the battlefield. It was completely evading the Black Arms cruisers and was able to evade the turbolaser and torpedoes with ease. Juniper also noticed two seeking missiles that was chasing her as she waited for the cruiser to fire another missile as she flew upwards, causing the missiles to crash. She soon fired two of her own laser cannons at the cruisers as she was able to damage it as several ships followed Juniper. These were Arcadian battleships under her as she commanded them to fire upon the Black Arms cruiser, which successfully destroyed it. The cruisers that followed her were heavy corvette-class battleships, which were broad in nature, capable of handling several laser blaster fire, and is capable of firing the lasers back at their enemies. Nicholas growled. Seeing this, he spoke with fury, "I won't spare Juniper." He soon turned his gaze towards the soldier. It was cold and furious as even the soldier flinched. He then coldly spoke, "Prepare, my capital ship, we cannot let this base fall." "But sir, the ship still needs some oiling. I don't think we can." Nicholas grabbed the officer by his collar as he angrily demanded, "Do as I say. Right now I won't let this base fall into their hands, is that clear?" "As you wish, Sir Nicholas." The Black Arms officer gulped and spoke, "I will prepare your ship." The officer went off as Nicholas headed outside. He decided to take the armor that was created to fight off against Juniper and her strongest Arcadians, should they become an even bigger problem. This was designed to handle the magic power output that the Icons had produced. He had this in a pocket dimension that Carmilla also had a hand in creating, as he soon contacted her and spoke. "Carmilla, try and fire everything you have upon Hyoudou and the 501st, distract them while I personally handle Juniper. As strong as she is, she cannot breathe in space. That is her weakness, another weakness that I can exploit, unlike Hyoudou who can." Nicholas commanded as Carmilla responded. "Indeed, Nicholas, you leave that to me. I will handle Hyoudou and his team. I should be able to distract her while you can deal with Juniper, your ex-wife. After that we will rule Arcadia with an iron fist. We were close in winning multiple times, but this is the last time they will win. I can assure you of that." Nicholas had a grin as he spoke. "I believe so too, Carmilla, I believe so too." Nicholas soon headed to the direction where his personal capital ship is present. He was going to at least take down Juniper and extract her icon Alexander from her. Scene change. Arcadian space, 9:30 p.m. Juniper was commanding the ships and coordinating an assault upon the Black Arms cruisers, destroying several of them as she spoke towards the troopers. "Good job, everyone." "Thank you, Your Highness." The Arcadian captain spoke as suddenly they were being bombarded with heavy fire as Juniper watched in horror. The captain spoke with horror, "Your Highness, we are." The captain was unable to complete as Juniper screamed in horror, "No." The ships were getting destroyed by heavy blaster fire. As Juniper looked at the attacker, she gritted her teeth in anger, looking at a huge ship that easily towered over the location. The ship was Nicholas's own personal capital ship, the Black Sun. It was described to be a black-colored ship with red windows. It was similar to Vlad's old capital ship in design. It soon started to fire more of the turbolasers towards Juniper, causing her to evade all the attacks. Soon enough, Juniper's communication readies its signal. It revealed none other than Nicholas. Juniper was glaring at him in anger, seeing his expression as she shouted, "Nicholas, you damned bastard!" Juniper shouted in fury. He just wiped out several of her troops and ships as Nicholas only cackled and spoke, "Damned bastard, that is completely new. Either way, how did my opening attack feel?" Nicholas spoke as he continued, "Was it shocking? Was it suffering? How does it feel that one of the four kingdoms showed what he is truly capable of? What he can truly do?" Juniper growled as he draconic parts are being shown as she continued, "You are the reason why my people will always deem your kind as nothing but primitives, nothing but outsiders." Funny, you should mention that. Regardless, the invincible Arcadia, all being brought to such a state that it is not experienced in, since eons. The world that the children of Salem had built with such painstaking efforts, the empire that was eons ahead of the four kingdoms, was brought down to its knees by me, yours truly. Juniper was only getting angrier by the second as she clenched her fists in anger. Once she gets her hands on him, she is going to make sure he was never born. Juniper was a person that was kind-hearted, helpful and cheerful. But she was also a battle maniac as well as a very sadistic person. She enjoys inflicting pain upon those that she deems as enemies and those that harm Arcadia. God forbid if she ever gets her hands upon that person, they will wish they were dead than suffer a fate worse than death by her hands. I killed many of your people and dared you to do something about it. You were only watching me as I wrapped you like a pawn around my finger. You and our children." Juniper cuts him off by retorting, "Don't you dare, Nicholas, you have no right to call any of them your children. You have lost that right a long time ago." "Right, I never even considered them as my own kids." Nicholas spoke with a mocking tone as Juniper took a deep breath. She was not going to let her anger get the better of her ever again. "In fact, I could care less if they even die, since I am going to steal their icons and take their powers once I am done with you. Keep dreaming, Nicholas, you will never succeed, you will fail like you always do." Juniper cuts off the call. She looked down in sadness, hating herself on how she was manipulated with such ease. But she would not let her anger get the better of her ever again. That was one thing she learned from Issei. She shook her head at the thoughts as she had to destroy the Black Sun at all costs. Meanwhile, Issei, who was watching this, was horrified to see Nicholas's capital ship join in as well. He was ready to dash towards her for assistance, but Carmilla was not letting that happen as she kept firing her turbo lasers towards Issei. As a message shows up on Issei's console, Drake then spoke. "Partner, that orange-haired bitch wants to speak to you." Issei understood this as he spoke with anger in his voice. "Patch it through." "Hello, Hyoudou." Carmilla spoke with her usual smile as Issei spoke. "What do you want?" "You won't be helping the Empress in any way. My dear Nicholas needs her for his purposes." "I am afraid I can't let you intervene," Carmilla spoke as she started her laser cannon and aimed it at the 501st. Issei watched in horror as she spoke with a cold tone. "Use Hyoudou." "Issei, who do you want to save? Your battalion or the Empress?" Carmilla cuts off the call as Issei had to find a way to act quickly. He looked at the cannon and soon turned his attention to Juniper, who was struggling to keep pace against the Black Sun and several of the battleships that were attacking her. The battleships were chasing her down as Rias contacted Issei and spoke. "General, go and save the Empress. Even if our lives go down, it will at least go down for our Empress." Issei refused as he spoke. "No, I will find a way. Just give me a minute." Rias try maneuvering around the field. "Make sure that Carmilla does not get an up on you mess with their targeting systems and inform it to the rest of the 501st as well." Issei spoke as Rias responded. "A distraction, huh? Very well." Rias spoke as Issei thought for a minute and realized on whether he can use Excalibur in space as the blade's range should be enough to assist her as well. He had to destroy those battleships chasing her as well. "In the meantime, I will go and save the Empress. I have another trick up my sleeve. I will rescue both of you. You can count on it." Issei spoke as Rias only gave a smile and spoke. "Very well, General. We have believed in you. Our time with you showed us that you will protect us at all costs." Issei nodded as he cuts the call. He soon thinks about Excalibur as the boosted gear announced. Revelation Blade. A giant blade of pure holy aura was created as Issei at the same time once again used the boosted gear to activate and announce a new announcement. Answer. Issei generated the barriers in front of the entire 501st Armada, protecting them from the cannon blast that Carmilla had procured much to her shock and anger. Issei soon followed it up by generating the blade and blocking the ships chasing Juniper down, causing it to halt. "What?" Juniper exclaimed with surprise as she turned to the blade's direction as she gave a smile, knowing Issei had her back even in this situation. As Issei's transmission came towards her and spoke. "Juniper, focus on Nicholas. Leave these goons to me." "Yes, thank you, Ice." Juniper spoke with a genuine smile as he cuts off the call. He soon commands the blade to slice off the ships in half, destroying them. A destroyer was caught in the path of the blade as Issei constantly slashed it into multiple pieces, completely annihilating it out of existence. Meanwhile, Anne and Willow were destroying several of the Blackbird cruisers that were accompanying Carmilla's ship. As Anne spoke. "Was that Void's stance?" Anne spoke with surprise seeing the Revelation Blade as Willow added. "Our student just knows how to surprise her even further, doesn't he?" Anne nodded in response as she spoke. "I agree, I trained him well. He was able to project an aura blade capable of doing that to a destroyer, annihilating it out of existence. I also believe that he will be able to use the other stances that I have taught him." "Well, he did use Earth stance to protect Juniper, so that's a thing, and his blade is still destroying as many ships as possible." Willow mused in response, to which Anne spoke. "I wonder what else this Apocalypse Antsworms is capable of." "That is something I believe we will find out soon," and added. The Arc siblings that were watching this was surprised by this, as Jade continued to watch with amazement, with John's sweat dropping seeing the situation. She clasps her hands together as she speaks. "I wonder what else can it do? Can it fire a beam blast like all the other transformations? Can it create any weapon that it wants? How many more mergings can Issei do with it? I want to know more. I wish to know." John smacks her on the head as she speaks. "We are literally in the middle of a bucking war. Well, Issei's new form is something to marvel upon. Now is not the time." Jade angrily glared at her twin and shouted. "This new form is something that I have never seen before. I want to know more, and I will know more, no matter what happens," Jade retorted, only to be promptly smacked by Violet Arc on the forehead as she spoke. "Will you two morons stop fighting and help Rosemary take down the ships? She cannot handle the lasers all by herself." John and Jade realized this as Jade rushed towards the control console, and John headed back to the weapon section. Olivia could only shake her head at this. She was handling the repairs of the ship due to the Black Arms cruisers damaging her ship. Violet gave a sigh as she looked towards Issei. She was happy that he was a valuable ally for the Arcadians and is grateful for him to assist her. The other Arc siblings also thought as such at this point. John suddenly got a transmission from an unknown source as he patched it through. The woman showed up. She was described to be a tall woman with a bob cut style haircut and bright pink eyes. From what John can tell, she's wearing an Arcadian Special Forces uniform. This was Elise Wong, daughter of Ada Wong. "Hey John, did you miss me?" John could only groan hearing this as he spoke. "After your stunt back at Raccoon City, I doubt that." Oh come on, your highness, I did help you complete your goal, only when you were trying to get the samples. I got in your way. But, Hyoudou took that away from me. John sighed, some of these girls were really something, Kafka and Scarlet being one of them. John shook his head at the thoughts of what happened in the cave, as something special happened there. But that was a story for another time. Anyways, I will make this quick, send this transmission to the Apocalypse Antsworms, Elise spoke, as John responded. How can I trust you, Elise? You managed to infiltrate the shadows just to get what you wanted, even partially almost killing me during the mansion incident. How do I know that you don't want to destroy Issei, knowing full well that the Black Arms want them dead? Elise looked at him for a moment and understood to some extent what this meant. Issei has been quite a target of the Black Arms ever since he saved Juniper all the way back at the Kazikli Bay, eventually becoming an even bigger target during the events of Earth 8, where he defeated the Outer Heaven, or played a major role in that. Them falling apart would be playing a major role and advantage in the Black Arms. At this point, he was better off dead. Since him being alive would only cause further problems. Trust me on this, John, if Hyoudou gets those plans, you will be able to succeed, have faith in me on this one. Elise spoke as she sent a transmission to John, who did not know what to do. He had to make the right call, else something bad may happen. Back with Juniper, she was maneuvering around the battlefield trying to make Nicholas lose his focus on her, so that she could find a way to enter his ship and deal with him once and for all. She used this opening to fire on some more locations, triggering damage in those locations. Suddenly, a transmission came from Nicholas, as he had a scowl on her face, as Juniper spoke with a mocking tone. So Nicholas, what do you think about the damage I have done? You. Juniper wags her finger and responds, nah, you should have known that I was an ace pilot, your only flaw is your overconfidence, you believed that by eliminating me in space, that would be good to kill me. But you forget one thing. Arcadia will always have my back, and I will have theirs. I have people to protect and lead, while you have none. You control the people and torment them to follow your will, your desire. That is why you will never see the throne of Arcadia, you will never be fit for that. You believe yourself to be fit, but that is never going to happen, Juniper declared in response, as Nicholas angrily shouted. Why you? Juniper cuts off the call, as she speaks with a sigh, I seriously was gullible back then. Reminds me of how those girls back in the DxD world were. Juniper ended with a growl, hating on how Issei was treated back then. She made sure at least she protects and makes sure his life is better in Arcadia, and she succeeded in that. She saw his smile was genuine as opposed to the fake smile he used to give when he came almost 4 years back. She soon commands the ship while avoiding several turbo lasers, courtesy of the Black Sun, attacking it even more as she damages them even more. Juniper sees some things coming out of the hangar of the capital ship as she widened her eyes. Man hacks, but how? What Juniper was witnessing were small anti-personnel devices that use razor-sharp propeller blades for both propulsion and attack. Their spinning blades produce a high-pitched whirring sound, which is often an indicator of their proximity. Their blades are powerful enough to cut and break through wooden obstacles, but not through stronger materials, such as metal or concrete. They are programmed with very little concept of self-preservation, careening off walls and through objects in their single-minded pursuit of their target. These were called manhacks. Juniper thought for a moment only to realize only one person is capable of creating such variants of manhacks. She growled, knowing it was Carmilla that was responsible for this. She had to deal with them for now. But Issei, he was piloting the Apocalypse Antsworms, as the gear commanded, answer. Apocalyptic full Issei, the boosted gear commanded as it fired several turbo lasers towards the Black Arms, fleet as rias and the others also joined in firing their own laser fire towards the ship surrounding the Executioner. Push through everyone, rias exclaimed on the communications as they keep assisting Issei's own barrage of turbolasers, taking down several of the ships which explode in a blazing glory. Carmilla was watching this with anger in her eyes. She once again tried to unleash a cannon blast towards Issei's fleet, only for him to protect them with Revelation Barrier. She was getting nowhere due to Issei's Apocalypse Antsworms, as suddenly a transmission came on the screen. It was her lover Nicholas. Carmilla, listen. What happened, beloved? Carmilla spoke with worry as Nicholas spoke. I will be sending you and Frisia 2 ships, get inside and leave the battlefield, and head towards Issei's home planet. Inform the factions on where he is, and try to get them on your side. This is nothing but a losing battle. Hyoudou is not going to let any of his allies be harmed. It is best if you two escape. You are the brains of this operation. Carmilla widened her eyes and asked, wait, beloved, you can't. Listen, you are the last hope for the Black Arms. If you survive we may have a fighting chance, maybe we can make it out alive. For the Black Arms, Carmilla, you and Frisia must survive. Carmilla looked at him as a tear fell from her eye. She then spoke, very well, I will do as you ask, but promise me that you will make it out alive. I can't make a promise like that, but I will do as much damage as possible to Arcadia. Until then, save yourself. Nicholas cuts the transmission as Carmilla clenched her fists in anger and glared at the apocalypse antworms. She turned to the black-armed soldier and spoke, "Prepare my stuff, I am leaving from here." "Yes, Lady Carmilla." Scene change. Issei looked at the scene as he contacted Nyx and spoke, "Nyx, listen, I will be destroying the executioner, it is time to end the biggest threat to our plans." Issei was unable to continue when suddenly a new ship joined in the fight, catching them off guard as Issei, Nyx, Melano, Rias, Ingvild and Macaria gritted their teeth in anger, recognizing who it was. They were traitors that once belonged to the kingdom of hell, they were the last vestiges of them since Hades and Persephone wiped all the rest. "Everyone, let's blow these traitors to kingdom come." Issei was not giving them any chance, with everyone speaking in response, "Yes, General," as the boosted gear announced. Answer. Two giant cannons came on top of Issei's apocalypse antworms as the gear announced. Revelation Blast. Issei fired the full power of the Revelation Blast towards the ships as the demons tried to flee, but there was no escape. Rias, Akeno and the rest of the 501st isolated their escape routes by constantly firing on them, completely annihilating their fleet out of existence. The battle against the remnants of the traitors from the kingdom of hell was done. Issei took a breather and settled down as a transmission was sent to him. "Drake, patch it through." Drake nodded as it was revealed to be John as he asked, "What's wrong, John?" "Lee sent me a list of planets Nicholas intends to target. He wants to find a way to recover the power and might of the Black Arms and try another war against Arcadia." Rias, who was hearing this, was surprised as she had spoken. "General, Your Highness, I would advise you to not trust her." Ingvild nodded in agreement and spoke, "Rias is correct, she was able to infiltrate the shadows just to get close to John, who is to say that she is not here for harming us, since we are clearly having an upper hand against the Black Arms." Issei thought for a moment when John spoke, "Issei, I went through those plans personally and one of them stated Earth DXD. Do you know what that means?" Issei widened his eyes in shock as he spoke, "That is my home planet. John, send those plans to me, I will relay them to your mother. If there is anything true about what the Black Arms intend to, then we need to stop and eliminate Nicholas." "Issei, are you sure of this?" Rias asked with concern as Issei and John both spoke, with Issei speaking first, "Yeah, I am, we need to act quickly and take down Nicholas." Elisa's plans showed that several other planets including Issei's own are targets for the Black Arms. Before they can regenerate their numbers, we need to eliminate them quickly. The two shadows thought for a moment before responding. "I see very well, let's end this once and for all." Ingvild spoke as Issei ended the transmission and contacted Juniper immediately. Scene change. Carmilla was able to settle down in a ship as she was escorted by several Black Armed soldiers. All she could do was helplessly watch as the Arcadians decimate her fleet. She knew her chance would be better one day. "Let's go," Carmilla coldly spoke as the soldier responded. "Yes ma'am, here is the plan Nicholas sent. We will be stopping at different secret bases of the Black Arms throughout the universe and restocking our fuel and supplies at different locations. He made sure of your and Frisia's survival, Lady Carmilla." Carmilla nodded as she spoke. "Very well, then let's make sure we survive. We can always fight against Arcadia in a different day." Carmilla spoke as the ship started to move. Something that was noticed by Rias Gremory, who tried to give chase. However, some of the soldiers that stayed behind on the executioner fired volleys of barrages, forcing Rias to evade them. She gritted her teeth in fury as she had to report this to Issei and Juniper, that Carmilla and Frisia managed to escape. Meanwhile, Juniper was speaking to Issei on her communications as she got the plans that Elise sent John, which was sent to her via Issei. She then spoke, "I see, so our suspicions were right, weren't they? They will try to recruit the faction leaders against us, right?" Issei only gave a sigh and spoke, "I hope they do not do so. Since the sacred gear wielders will be a problem to us, especially the ones I talked to you about." Juniper nodded, remembering that the high-tier Longinus could especially be a problem, one of them being Nereid Kiri, which was stated to even command dragons. Juniper then spoke, "In that case, let's end this war. Does your apocalypse antworms have the power to destroy the entire base?" Juniper asked, to which Issei spoke, "Yes I do, I believe you saw the Revelation Blaster, right?" Juniper nodded. The skills she had witnessed so far were the Apocalyptic Palisade, Revelation Barrier, Revelation Blade and Revelation Blaster. "Indeed, are you telling me there is a stronger attack than Revelation Blaster and Revelation Blade?" Juniper asked as Issei responded, "Indeed, there is." Juniper, call all troops including your ship back, since this would damage the entire area that is near the ship. Issei's words were nodded by Juniper as she spoke. "I will." Juniper spoke as she cuts off the call. She then falls back as Nicholas tried to transmit a message only for her to decline it. She was not interested in dealing with him. Scene change. Issei watched as the ship started to retreat behind him as he decided to charge completely, the boosted gear kept announcing. Answer 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 answer. The whole apocalypse antsworms was surging with bright green energy, almost akin to electricity. The Arcs noted this to be almost akin to Bahamut when it is using Zetaflare. Revelation all-range blaster Drake announced Issei charged several cannons towards the Black Arms base, as the ships on the Black Arms tried to avoid, but were hit and were immediately annihilated out of existence. Nicholas's ship was able to get out of the range of the attack. The primary target was the Black Arms battle station, as all the blasters aimed towards it completely annihilated the base, destroying it into nothingness. The base exploded completely as the resulting debris was released through the battlefield, with many being shocked at what the Apocalypse Antsworms is capable of. They could only silently watch as the Black Arms lost a major part of their arsenal in one attack, courtesy of Issei Hyoudou. Chapter 31. End of the Civil War S1. Finale. The silence between the two forces was stunning. The complete and effortless destruction of the Black Arms battle station was overwhelming to many present. The sheer prowess of Issei's attack was witnessed by everyone. Holy Olivia spoke with surprise as Jade continued, "Shit, that attack, it completely annihilated the station." Issei Nai, he is really something. Rosemary spoke, the only one closest that came to this power she remembered was Saffron. Issei completely destroyed the facility as well as any cruisers that surrounded them. That's his power, he is the strongest that Arcadia has to offer. John spoke in agreement as Jade spoke. I never knew that a god key would get this powerful, and the fact he merged with one of them to create the Apocalypse Antsworms, I wonder what else he can do with its powers. Jade spoke with a deep thought, power like this can easily deal with even the strongest of the Arcadians, not everyone but most. She knew from the Star of Eden that the Project Honkai will only get more powerful as time passes and more stronger god keys are created, but she never thought it would become this powerful and destructive. She theorized that Issei can completely destroy Remnant with one Revelation all-range blaster if he wanted to do so. Everyone, the Black Arms are at their lowest, let's eliminate any survivors that may have survived, let's hunt them down. Violet, the oldest sister, declared as the others nodded, piloting their ships to eliminate any straggling ships or cruisers that have been left behind from the Revelation all-range blaster. Meanwhile, the big three themselves were having their own thoughts into this. His strength was only increasing at very staggering rates. Well, this would seem concerning to those that are unaware of Issei. The big three had wholehearted trusted and cared for Issei like their own, especially Juniper, who cherished him even more. This I never knew the boosted gear could become this strong. Juniper spoke with surprise as she soon smiled, I am glad he is on our side. I wholeheartedly agree on that, Junie. Willow spoke with happiness, a major battle station has been destroyed, he has been fighting for Arcadia even when it was not his home. Willow then added, come on, let's end this battle by assisting the stragglers. Willow spoke as Juniper added, Issei has done a lot for us, it's time that we also show why we are called the Big Three, Juniper declared as and spoke. I wholeheartedly agree on that one, we still have some survivors remaining. And pointed to some of the ships that were trying to escape, as Willow spoke, let's light these traitors up. The three ships headed towards the running ships as they start to destroy it with relative ease. The 501st was also stunned by what Issei had done, as they noted that their general was the most powerful that existed, as well as one of the smartest minds in Arcadia. Even Nyx, Invictus, Melano and Macaria were also surprised, they had never seen this form of attack before, theorizing to be on par with a god-level attack, or perhaps way beyond that. Akeno was completely stunned seeing this. In all her life, she had many friends and was even close to spider immortality, but only a few interested her to such an extent. Issei was one of those people, as he vehemently defended her and the rest of the battalion like this. Ingvild and Rias trusted him even more, seeing on how he defended them from all harm, no matter what happened, they couldn't help but start to have feelings more than faith and trust. Same extended for Kaneko and Aika as well, while the others had even more respect for their general and will follow them till the very end. Rias then walked forward and spoke on the console. 501st, this is our chance, let's end this war once and for all. The Black Arms are at their lowest, and with the fall of their battle station, we can end this war that has lasted for a year and a half. Let's all make one final push, the general has done enough for us, it is time for us to finish this war, once and for all, Rias declared as they all agreed to do so. They all looked to see the Apocalypse Antsworm still in the air. She sent a message to Issei about Carmilla and Frisia's escape a while back. Nicholas, on the other hand, fell on his knees, the battle station was annihilated out of existence. He soon looked at the Apocalypse Antsworms with anger and despair in his eyes. Once again he was foiled, and this was the end of the war, the true end of the war. However, he was not done, he was not going to go down without a fight. He got up and walked across the bridge. He soon headed inside, as he knew there was one thing that would happen next. He decided to fight back till the very end. Meanwhile, Issei was breathing a bit more than usual as Drake spoke, "Partner, you need to let go of this armor." "Not yet, Nicholas is still out there. Rias told me that Carmilla and Frisia managed to escape and Vlad is nowhere to be seen. I need to protect them." Issei spoke as his armor suddenly fall apart as it returned to balance breaker beyond, with the cosmic juggernaut also splitting and going back to its pocket dimension. Everyone watched as the armor suddenly fell. Juniper knew that Issei was at his limit from the final attack, since it did take a lot out of him. They were surprised by this, but he was still in his balance breaker state. Juniper immediately contacted Nyx and spoke. "Nyx, go and help Issei." Nyx did not hesitate and rushed to him. She had to rescue Issei before it is too late. Nyx immediately piloted the Ragnarok and reached Issei's location, however the Black Sun tried to fire at them, now that Issei was weakened. Issei rushed inside as Nyx once again started to breathe. She had held her breath earlier due to the vacuum of space, and when the door opened she held on tight, as Issei closed it quickly. She soon piloted the ship and managed to get out of there, as the 501st and Big 3 kept firing on the Black Sun to distract it, dealing some more damage towards it. Issei deactivated his armor. "Oof, that was really something." Issei spoke while rubbing his head, as Nyx only embraced him as she spoke with a sniffle. "Idiot, do you know how worried I was for you?" Issei only rubbed her head and calmed her down, as suddenly someone contacted him as it was revealed to be Juniper. As she spoke, "Issei, are you?" Juniper asked with concern only to see this happen, as she only felt another emotion she never thought she would experience. Jealousy. She did not know why, but seeing them made her really jealous. She could only watch the scene with a pout on her face. She grunted, garnering their attention, as she spoke with a slight annoyance. "If you are done with your moment, then can we please focus? We still have Nicholas and his ship to deal with." The two soon split up, as they had a small red tint on their faces. Juniper then spoke while regaining her composure. "Very well then, it seems like the war is at its end. Issei, Nyx, bring Ragnarok with you, we are heading straight for the base. Nicholas has a chance of escaping, let's end this together." Issei nodded in agreement as he spoke. "In that case, we are on our way." Issei spoke with seriousness, as Juniper soon gave a smile and spoke, "Let's end this war and head home, it's going to be finally over." Juniper's words were agreed by both Issei and Nyx. Many may have fallen, but they will all be avenged. Nicholas will pay for every single life he has taken, there is no stopping his inevitable demise. Issei brought out a mother crystal and regenerated his mana completely, as well as restoring it to 100%, he was once again ready for another fight. He intended to end this once and for all. The trio piloted the Ragnarok and Imperial Plasma Starfighter towards the ship belonging to Nicholas, as Issei started to fire a laser beam towards the shields of the ship as it quickly regenerated. Soon enough they were surrounded by the troops of the Black Arms, as Juniper spoke, "You ready for this, Ice?" "You bet I am." "What about the others?" Issei asked as Juniper spoke. "They are clearing the outer parts, we finished this once and for all." Issei nodded, as the two ships' entrances opened up as the Black Arms captain shouted, "Fire at them." The troops readied their weapons, as Issei was not letting that happen. He fired 2 dragon shots at them, annihilating them with ease. They soon fell flying as Juniper generated some flames in her palms as she soon burned the rest of them. The people were being burnt as they begged for mercy. None of them were showing any empathy towards these old traitors, they had killed so many people for nothing but power and total control. Juniper spoke to Nyx. "Nyx, stay behind with the ships, guard them and eliminate everyone that is going to capture them or get them." Nyx nodded in understanding as she spoke, "Leave it to me." "Ice, come on." Juniper motioned to Issei as the two rushed ahead. They saw some more Black Arm soldiers fire their rifles at the two, as Issei dashes forward and stabs one in the head using Excalibur, causing him to die instantly. He soon follows it up with a kick aimed at the other's stomach, as Juniper joined in. She used her draconic claws and ripped 2 soldiers apart, they screamed in pain upon being disemboweled. 2 more soldiers joined in as they aimed their rifles only for it to be sliced in half within one slash. It was Issei that did that. Quickly bringing out his Excalibur, her swiftly decapitated 2 more soldiers without any mercy. They nodded towards each other as they kept moving ahead. Juniper looked around to see some more soldiers trying to join them. Acting quickly, Juniper started to breathe flames in her mouth and unleash a flame blast towards all of them, as her magical flames were able to burn them all down to cinders. Issei was not surprised as she spoke. "You seem not surprised, I believe your dragons could do this as well." Issei nodded in response, "Is it not obvious? Either way, we should get a move on, I believe Nicholas is not far off." "Let's go." Issei spoke in response. "Yes." Juniper and Issei kept moving throughout the location as they keep slaughtering any soldiers that they come across. She suddenly stops dead in the tracks as Issei removes his Excalibur from a soldier, as Issei asks, "What's wrong?" Juniper spoke while flinching, "I sense a huge magical presence up ahead. I believe that is Nicholas. There is no way he can achieve this level of magical power, no matter how hard he tries." Juniper spoke with a worried tone. Issei then spoke. Are you sure? From what I can find out, he must have hidden this from you for a very long time. Juniper nodded at the possibility, him deceiving her back then was also a probability. She then responded while shaking her head. It is not that, I know he would deceive me, but something is off. You see, Nicholas is an outsider in Issei's eyes. He understood this was Arcadia's hatred towards the Four Kingdoms, however Issei does not blame her. Sensing this, Juniper retorts, Ice, listen, I am not saying that just cause he is an outsider he is weak. It is because he never had that high magical prowess. I know that because I can sense magic inside a person. When I sensed you for the first time, all the way back 4 years ago. I had already sensed massive amounts of magic coming from you and your family. That alone eliminated the suspicion of you being from any of the Four Kingdoms. But Nicholas, when he first came here, he had no mana, like many of those that come from the Four Kingdoms. I and my people taught him that power, even then it was still low. But what I am sensing now, this is completely different, and so is the signature. I am familiar with yours and Nyx's signature very well. Issei nodded in understanding as he spoke. Could this be Carmilla's doing? Her final buck you to us before we win. I won't be surprised if it is. Juniper spoke, as Issei was informed prior via a message from Rias about her and Frisia's escape. Juniper then spoke, Ice, I give you full authority to use all the god keys and end this fight. Very well. The two headed inside as Issei brought out his Star of Eden, the weapon he was most comfortable with. Scene change. Nicholas was looking at the armor as he activated it and entered into the cockpit. Suddenly, the doors burst open revealing Juniper and Issei. Juniper then shouted, It's over, Nicholas, I would advise you to surrender if you wish to suffer a lighter death. Juniper angrily shouted as Nicholas only laughed inside the armor he was wearing. The armor was described to be a black-colored armor with red visor and several energies of magic inside of it. The armor was still attached to the backside of the recharger as it started to surge with magical prowess. Juniper and Issei staggered behind as Juniper spoke, such power. Indeed, my beloved, this power, all thanks to research and time taken by Carmilla. You should be thanking her for making an armor that would reach to this level. Nicholas disconnected the armor as he soon dashed towards Juniper as Issei shouted. Watch out. Juniper blocked the strike as she dragonized her hands to block the attack. She gritted her teeth. The power of this armor was really something. Issei soon dashed towards her bringing out Judgment of Shamash as he fired 2 shots at Nicholas. The shot started to stick to the armor's metal, but sadly, it was not being affected at all. Did you really think that the heat of the sun would burn this armor? Nicholas asked, to which Issei gritted his teeth in frustration. Nicholas soon generated 2 blasts of magic aimed at the two as Issei brought out the Star of Eden and created a void space that absorbed the magic like it was nothing. But how? Nicholas asked with surprise as Issei no longer seemed to have the Judgment of Shamash but instead had a staff with him. He could sense the strong gravity magic coming out from it much to his surprise. Juniper then spoke with a smile. Is it not obvious, Nicholas? You never asked about Issei in any way and I am glad you did not. You presumed him to be weak, not be a threat, just like the factions did. You underestimated his power, just like many of those from his world, and in my eyes, you are no better than his so-called brother Hyoudou. Nicholas gritted his teeth in frustration as Issei kept the staff behind and fixed his glasses. This staff is God Key nicknamed 9, called the Star of Eden, and as I can presume you must have sensed the immense gravity magic coming from it. Issei brought the Caner staff to the ground and spoke, shame you will never know what else it is capable of. Nicholas in his anger started to fire some more blasts as Issei spoke, it's useless. Issei slashed his staff and created some more void space, nullifying the attacks into nothingness. Juniper then kept his hand on Issei and spoke, mind if I let loose a bit? Sure, all yours. Juniper walked forward and a bright light engulfs Juniper as she now forms into her battle armor, which is black and gold. The design of it is very angular and spiky, with a black and red cape to go with it. She is armed with a spear. You remember this armor, darling? Juniper spoke with a mocking tone, as Issei could only see with a cheeky grin, and look at the design of the armor as he added, interesting. I am glad you liked it. Juniper gave a glance to Issei, as she soon turned to Nicholas, who was ready to destroy him once and for all. In a flicker she went off leaving nothing but wind in her wake. She soon slammed her spear onto Nicholas who blocked it with his fists. He responds with firing a magical blast from the chest cavity as Nicholas shouted, Annihilation Smasher. Juniper backed away, the beam blast struck forward with Issei nullifying the attack yet again, as she quickly responded with several magic circles of elemental magic comprising of water, fire, electricity, ice, darkness, light, nuclear, gravity, light, as it surrounded Nicholas who just did not move. He is not moving, he really is confident with his armor, Issei thought while trying to analyze Nicholas, as his thoughts were snapped with Juniper shouted. Take this. The magic circle struck him causing a massive dust storm as Juniper backed away and spoke, how's that? The dust settled, leaving Nicholas completely unscathed. The power the armor had before was much stronger than before, as he only cackled at Juniper's shocked face. Pathetic. But how? Juniper exclaimed with surprise, as Issei analyzed the situation and spoke. It's actually obvious. I noticed Nicholas not dodging at first, since he was confident in the armor's durability. However, with the surging power, it is completely different. This armor was designed to absorb magic and store it into the user's body. Nicholas clapped with his armor as he spoke. Correct, you really are a genius, aren't you? Issei. Nicholas spoke with a roaring laughter. As Issei narrowed his gaze at him. Nicholas then spoke, he is right, this power was designed to absorb the icons, so that I could use them without a problem. The icons are powerful, yes, but they are going to need a stronger container, that is why I asked Carmilla to build this armor. So that I could use the powers without a problem. Nicholas's words made Juniper angrier, however before she could do anything Issei kept his hand on her and spoke. No, he just wants to provoke you, Juniper. Juniper nodded in understanding, as they looked at Nicholas, who declared, come on, show me what you got. Besides, once I am done with the two of you, I will release Aisha and siphon her powers. I will become the strongest there is in this whole world, and there is nothing you can do. Nicholas spoke with a tone of grandeur as Juniper angrily retorted. Releasing her will doom us all, and I won't let you do that. Issei was confused, as Nicholas asked, you didn't tell him about Aisha? Someone who surpassed Willow in her strongest. Juniper muttered as she continued, Issei, I will keep it short, she is like the Trahixa of our world, nothing can stop her causing us to seal her. Before that she was once of us, before she turned against us. Juniper spoke, however there was a tone of sadness and anger, hinting at that, as Issei could only nod, he wondered just how strong this Aisha person is. I am not giving up, Arcadia is my home, my responsibility, and I won't let Nicholas ruin the family my ancestors worked tirelessly to create. The world of Arcadia and my family is something I would fight for until the very end. Issei nodded as he spoke. You are right, I am in for this fight as well. Juniper only gave a smile underneath her armor and spoke, then this is a fight we would do together. I am glad to have you by my side for this, Ice. Nicholas soon fired an immense magical beam blast towards the two as they narrowly dodged the attack. The beam blast destroyed several of the rooms as Nicholas dashed towards Juniper and followed it up with a kick to her stomach, which she was able to block with her spear as she used her spear to stab him. Issei soon used the gear as it announced. Penetrate. The spear bypassed the armor and broke through the center as it stabbed Nicholas straight in his abdomen, making him cough up blood. Juniper was herself surprised by what had happened. She turned her gaze to Issei, who only nodded as she smiled underneath her armor. She soon removed her spear as she backed away. She then spoke. What was that move, anyway? Juniper asked, to which Issei responded, penetrate, skill that allows me to bypass any defense, physical or magical. Juniper nodded as Nicholas was shocked seeing this. His armor was breached, revealing his body as Issei spoke. Now that we have found a weak spot, let me damage this armor even further, break any hope he has for beating us. Juniper nodded as Issei motioned his cane forward, glowing with immense gravity magic as he spoke coldly. So Nicholas, have you seen the stars shatter? Nicholas did not respond as he did not know how to respond to Issei's statement. He soon dashed towards him and created a small black hole, akin to shattering of a planet. He came towards Juniper's side and twirled his cane and stomped it, once again fixing his glasses. The black hole collapsed, causing immense pain as Nicholas screamed due to this. Survivor be destroyed, you have no other choice. Issei spoke, looking at Nicholas, who was slightly more damaged than before. The breach that Juniper did worked wonders as the damage allowed Issei to do even more damage. The move Issei used was synthetic black hole. Show off. Juniper spoke with a roll of her eyes as she continued, regardless, nice pose though. You think so too? Juniper and Issei turned to see electricity noises coming from Nicholas's armor as Nicholas seemed to be staggering as he unleashed several beam blasts towards Issei and Juniper as Issei used a different god key, which is god key 5, the great hibernation, to convert them into pure ice. Shocking, isn't it? Nicholas looked in horror as he knew his suit won't be able to fight for much longer. He soon tapped the icicles and broke it. Juniper then spoke with a grin. You want the power of the icons, right Nicholas? Let's see if your body can handle the power. Juniper started to transform into her own icon in her primed form, which was described to tall golden humanoid with dark blue accents. Now that's an icon. Issei mused as he soon decided to turn into his own icon. Knights of the Round. This was in its primed form. You see Nicholas, this is my icon, the icon of steel, the Knights of the Round. Issei's voice boomed in his prime form as the other knights roared in agreement. Juniper smiled underneath her armor as she was even more happy seeing Nicholas's stunned expression. Nicholas was stunned seeing that a non-arc was able to not only wield an icon, but also use it, since their energies were a bit similar. But how? How can someone that doesn't have the blood of an arc wield an icon? I have never seen or heard of Knights of the Round ever at all, Nicholas shouted angrily. He refused to believe that such an icon existed before as Juniper spoke. Don't you see it, Nicholas? Issei may not be of arc blood, but he is an arc by heart, something you will never be. No matter how much you try, you could have been an arc. You were an arc until you showed your true colors. But today, you won't be an arc, you shall never be one, ever again, Juniper declared, as Nicholas wanted to run, but Juniper was not letting that happen. Issei was surprised by this, but he soon changed to focus to Nicholas, who was clearly fleeing. There is no escape. One of the knights trapped Nicholas in a spell that inhibited his mobility, as Juniper spoke with a grin. Where do you think you are going, Nicholas? You wanted this power, right? Come and take it. Juniper started to transfer her magic onto Nicholas, using her icon, which was starting to cause her pain. Issei, now in his King Arthur form, decided to also send his own magic. Nicholas could feel the power as he lost his anger and soon started to grin maniacally. Yes, give me more. Juniper and Issei looked at each other as they did just that. They decided to transfer in some more power. They kept on doing this until his body started to no longer get rejuvenated and started to pain. The pain increased to a staggering rate which made it almost unbearable as Nicholas spoke. No, please stop, I don't want more, please, I can't take it anymore. Juniper then spoke, a sadistic grin coming on her face. Why? Didn't you always wanted power? You betrayed me, your own children and even your home just to gain more power. You did not even care about how your own children, no, I should say my own children would think or feel after you abandoned them. Almost tried to kill me for your own selfish path to power. I am pretty sure that you would even kill my children just to steal their power from them, power that was rightfully theirs. Nicholas couldn't take it as he was starting to bloat like a balloon. Even in his final moments he still pleaded for mercy. No, Juniper, Issei, please, I beg of you, I can't take it anymore. I will do anything to make things right. Anything? Juniper asked, to which Nicholas spoke, anything, I will even become a good father, please. No thank you, you are better off dead, and the children, they don't care about you. Arcadia wants you dead for every single crime that you have committed against me and my kingdom. You will die tonight, there is no other way. Nicholas wanted to plead, however Juniper cuts him off. You should know one thing about dragons and dragonborn, when we love and cherish someone, we do it unconditionally, we do it without any deceit or treachery. But when we are deceived and when we get betrayed by our mates, we have hatred on par with the love we once had. However, in my case, my hatred eclipses that of the love I once had for you. Goodbye and good riddance, Nicholas Kane, Juniper declared as the two shouted, increasing their power even more. Nicholas was unable to take it anymore. His facial expression was becoming akin to a cartoon character that is about to explode. His face and other body parts were also transforming into the same. Soon Nicholas exploded into a flurry of blood, flesh and organs, coupled with magical power that completely sent a massive shockwave headed their way. Issei and Juniper both generated barriers that protected themselves, as all they could see was nothing but bright light in the location where Nicholas was. Soon the light settled down to reveal what remained of Nicholas. Just a pile of metal from the armor and fleshy parts that remained after the explosion. Nicholas was no longer left, he was dead, and with his death, the Ark Civil War was finally over. They soon released their primed forms as Juniper seemed to look at the corpse that was once her former husband. You okay? Issei spoke while keeping his hand on her shoulder as she flinched and spoke, yeah, I am fine. What now? Issei spoke while looking at the corpse of Nicholas and spoke, we recover what we have lost. Issei nodded as they soon left the ship where they were greeted by Nyx, who was joined by both Willow and Juniper, as Willow asked, what happened? Juniper spoke with a sigh, Nicholas is dead, it is finally over now, let's blow his capital ship to Kingdom Come. Yep, you got that one right, Junian exclaimed, glad that all those that Nicholas had killed were avenged. She hated what he had done to her people, as several from Clan Ren had also suffered as well. It is finally over, his name will forever be synonymous with treachery and deception, Juniper spoke, as Nyx added, I wish I could have joined you, honestly I would also love to torment him for what he did to some of the deathless. Nyx's words were only met by a hand on her shoulder by Juniper as she spoke, he is long gone, Issei, and I made sure to give him an explosive demise. Juniper spoke with a wink as she remembered that only those that the icon sees as worthy can use their powers, all those that aren't will end up like Nicholas. Anyways, let's head out and head home, my family is waiting for me. Issei spoke as everyone nodded. Nyx then spoke, I have already set up some explosives on the ship with an and Willow's help, once we get out of here, we will trigger the explosives, and with that the war will end. The others agreed to this and entered into their ships and got out of there. They destroyed the shields, and soon Nyx triggered the explosives as the black sun exploded, with the ships escaping towards the command. The Arcadians started to cheer upon this, while the Arcs watched with relief that the Civil War is finally over, Nicholas Kane is dead, and with that the Arc Civil War has officially ended. They soon headed back to Arcadia to celebrate the end of the Civil War and Arcadian military. Scene change. Time skip brought to you by Chibi Issei drinking a gallon of Diet Coke without a problem, while Chibi Juniper watches with exhaustion, and Chibi Willow and Chibi and watch with surprise. Arcadia, 9:30 p.m. The Arcadians were celebrating the death of Nicholas Kane and Vlad Ark, who was confirmed to have been found dead in a nearby crate for cremation. They all cheered for his death, who was long gone. Even John and the others were celebrating with their friends. Issei was with his own family. The Red Dragon Emperor was hailed as the hero of Arcadia, as he celebrated with his own parents, sisters and other family members. They were all having a party. He was finally happily spending time with the others as well, talking to people who wanted to ask for his autographs or even talk about his actions in the war and on how he defended so many people while risking his own life. Juniper watched the scene with a smile. Her attention was turned towards Issei. Seeing him so happy made her ecstatic. She could be seen having a red tint on her face. Suddenly Willow comes from the air and walks towards Juniper as she calls her out. Juniper. Juniper does not hear as Willow taps on her shoulder and speaks. Yeah. Well, you seem in a daze. Are you okay? Willow asked as Juniper spoke. I am fine. Yes, I am fine. Juniper seemed to have a flustered look as Willow soon turned her gaze to Issei as she watches him laughing happily. She could see his smile and laughter to be genuine as Willow adds. His smile, it seems more genuine, doesn't it, Juniper? Yeah, you got that one, right. Juniper spoke with a loving smile, with Willow seeing her the red on her face. She soon becomes surprised, wondering whether she actually is starting to like her student or not. Juniper, don't tell me. Juniper turned her gaze towards Willow as she continues. Do you like Issei? Juniper immediately became flustered as she shook her hands in denial and responded. No, I don't. Willow started to grin as she shouted in response. Stop grinning, it is not funny. Oh, so you finally found someone you like, don't you? Willow continued with a grin as Juniper vehemently denied this and spoke. No, I don't like him. Juniper's gaze soon becomes saddened as she continues. I can't like him. Willow saw this and became surprised as she speaks. Why? Juniper keeps her hand on her chest. Is it not obvious, Willow? I don't think he sees me as someone to love. He sees me as an older sister figure at best, just like he sees you and as his mentors. Juniper spoke while looking at Issei with a sad smile as he pulls Mocha and Nyx together in a hug as they happily laugh together. After all, in his eyes, I probably must be an old woman with children. Willow looked at her for a moment. She could see her watching the scene with total sadness, yet she was happy for him. She was happy that he was finally getting happiness, and that was more than enough for her. Boy, Juniper, Willow exclaimed, gaining her attention as she continued. I don't think Issei sees you as an old woman. There is a chance that he likes you. He fought by your side multiple times and even sacrificed his life multiple times to make sure you remain alive. Just tell him you like her. Sure, he may be close to Nyx and Mocha, but the bond the two of you share, it is very strong, almost akin to family. Tell him about how you feel and see how it goes. Willow spoke as Juniper responds. What if he rejects me? I mean, he shares a very close bond with Nyx. I doubt he would accept me. Juniper spoke as Willow exclaimed. Even if he doesn't, I will be there to console you as you have your alcohol, okay? Juniper could only nod. Even if he does reject her, she would be happy for him, regardless. For now, she enjoyed the party with her friends, children and with other acquaintances. She watched now, with Arcadia being safe. She can truly rest, for now that is. Scene change. Issei's residence, 1 a.m. Juniper walked towards Issei's home as she took a deep breath. She looked with a determined expression as she rang the bell to the door. After a while, she spoke. Maybe I should head home, they must be all asleep. Juniper turned tail and was about to head back when the door opened up as it was Persephone, who was in her nightgown and she had worn a nightcap. Juniper. What brings you here? Persephone asked with a tone of surprise. She and her family were allowed to call Juniper by her first name basis due to how close they had become. Juniper already was very close to Issei, while she eventually became close to the rest of his family, and she asked them to call her by their first name in private. Juniper turned around and spoke. Oh, I hope I am not disturbing. I wanted to talk to Issei, if he is available. I am pretty sure he is, but isn't it a bit late for talking to him? Not that I mind that. Juniper nodded as she spoke. I know, but is it possible I can talk to him in private? Sure, why not? Please come inside. Juniper headed inside as she looked around and asked, where is Hades and all? Like, shouldn't they be here? Oh no, they are all celebrating with the demons. Us Greek gods were known to party for hours, especially in the night. So it is not surprising for us to not be present. They should arrive by early morning or even somewhere in the later morning, around 9 a.m. Juniper was surprised by this as she continued. I just hope they aren't blackout drunk. Persephone spoke with a sigh as she remembered she had to drag Hades back several times when he used to get drunk. He was a strong drinker, but even the strong drinkers have limits. Juniper gave a smile towards her, remembering the party is still going on in some of the kingdoms. He should be either in his room or his lab. The latter is the place where is common at times, always working on something or the other, but he does have time for us. Persephone spoke as Juniper could see some resemblance to Jade. She was also known to do just that. Persephone knocks on the door to his room as she asks, Ice-chan, are you there? A few moments later, a voice was heard from the other side. Yes, Mom, I am there. Wait a minute, I will open the door. Issei soon opens the door as he was greeted by Persephone as he speaks. Yes, Mom, did you? Issei was unable to complete as he speaks while looking towards Juniper. Juniper, what brings you here? I wanted to talk to, in private, is that alright? Juniper spoke while looking towards Issei as Persephone speaks. I will leave you two be and get some snacks, you two should head inside. Persephone left the two as they could only look at her leave. Scene change. Juniper sat on his bed, seeing it as a standard queen-size bed, as Issei sat on his table and asked, so what is it you wanted to talk about? I wanted to know, once the war is done, what are you going to do? Issei thought for a moment as he spoke. I will probably be going to the Outlands or the Darklands to find materials for the final God Key in Project Honkai. After that I am done with it. But, are you sure you will be fine? That place is dangerous, and Juniper spoke while turning her gaze away. You will be alone. No, I have Drake and I have already spoke to Invictus, they will be joining me for this, so I will have company. Plus, I will only be gone for a few days. So I should be back. Juniper nodded as she spoke. I see inside the gear. Drake nodded in agreement, however he soon noticed her gazes and wondered whether there was something else she could see in Issei. Anyways, I should get something to drink, probably a Diet Coke, you want one? Issei spoke as he walked towards a fridge as Juniper spoke in response, and no, I am fine. Okay, suit yourself. Juniper only looked at Issei and thought, what are you doing? Say what you feel to him, come on, it wasn't hard before, it shouldn't be hard now. She soon shakes her head and speaks with a determined tone, Issei, there is something I want to tell. Yeah, what is wrong? Juniper spoke with a red tint as she added, I like you, Ice. Issei dropped his Diet Coke can in response as it fell down with a thud, stunned by what she had spoken, as she continued. Ever since you saved me from Nicholas and protected me back at the planet, I don't know why, but I had this small nagging feeling inside my heart. I constantly denied it at first, but when you were gone for days, if not weeks for the war on Earth 8. I felt lonely, I felt nothing without you. When you came back, alive and well, I was so happy. I wanted to tell you about what I thought, but I feared that you may reject me due to your past traumas. Issei was left silent, he was unaware on how to respond to it. He did not know Juniper felt this was for him. I feared that you may think of Ingvild or Gabriel, two women that you loved and cherished once, and they abandoned you. I thought me confessing you may bring some bad memories. Issei could be seen a bit angry. Juniper was nothing like those two, they are nothing, not even worth his time at this point. She then continued. I understand if you don't see me as a love interest, you probably must be seeing me as a lonely old lady with children, and I wouldn't blame you, Ice. Nyx, Office and Mocha, those three also care for you, and I wouldn't be against if you fall for any of them. But me, I am just someone that has kids, and I doubt you would see me as a lover. Juniper is cut off by Issei as he places his hand on her mouth, much to her surprise as he continued. Enough. Issei removes his hand on her as she could see tears in his eyes as he spoke. Don't you ever say that you are like Ingvild or Gabriel. You are way better than those two whores. Those two can't even compare to the likes of you, and I would never see you like an old lady with children. Don't you ever say that. Meeting you was the best thing that could have happened to me. Well, yes, Hades and his family, Office, Great Red, Nyx and Mocha did play a vital role in my life, giving me a reason to live. You gave me a purpose to fight for, a purpose to love and care for. You, Juniper, mean to me as much as the others do. Issei spoke as he continued. I never knew you felt the same way I did, cause back then, I presumed that you were too affected by what Nicholas did. I did not know if I should tell you what I thought. You mean a lot to me, and I care for you as well, just like I do for my true family, more than anyone else, more than anything else, Issei declared as tears started to fall down from Juniper's eyes as she speaks. I never thought you would like me. Juniper spoke as she added, do you love me, Ice? Issei couldn't take it anymore as he grabbed her shoulders with teary eyes and immediately embraced her and spoke, I love you. Juniper was left stunned as she soon started to tear up and speak, and, I love you, Ice. She starts to cry on him. While this was happening, Persephone watched the scene with a smile. She had a plate in her hands as she spoke while closing the door, leaving them alone. I guess, my Ice is in good hands, take care of him, Juniper, he is a real gem. Persephone watched the moonlight, knowing full well that the time for war is over and a time for happiness has began. She kept the plate down and decided to rest for a while herself. After all, she could be happy knowing her son has found true happiness. Epilogue. Eternal Bliss Season 1. 1 year later, Arcadian home, 9:30 am. Issei was seated at his home as he had a sip of his Diet Coke. He yawned knowing how things have become ever since the Civil War. He remembered some events that had happened upon the relationship reveal. While many were happy for them, some were worried since Issei was almost the same age as Bianca was, he was too young for someone this old. While the most of the Arc siblings were more accepting of this due to them knowing Issei on a personal level, Saffron and Violet were slightly on the edge, not because they hated Issei or even disapproved their relationship. They believed Issei was too young for someone as old as their mother, but eventually as time passed they accepted it and were more than happy for it. As for Issei's family, well they also took it well, with Hades approving of Juniper completely. Even Melano and Macaria liked her, Great Red cheered for Issei. The only ones that were not happy, or more accurately jealous, were Nyx and Office. They never confessed out of fear, and they wondered if Issei would consider a prospect for harem, like John does. Juniper noticed this as time passed and knew what she had to do, although she decided to finish her time with Issei, since today was their wedding. Yes, today was the day Juniper and Issei were going to get married. It has been a year since the Civil War had ended, and the reason they couldn't tie the knot was because of the aftermath that had happened. The aftermath caused the united races of Arcadia to come together, since this was fought in every kingdom, every guild and every race. They all had decided to work together. Additionally, the elves wanted to lead this united front. They made the excuse of being high-blooded and superior-blooded, but Issei and the others quickly reminded them on who the ones in charge were. Issei's magic was pretty strong and well known across all of Arcadia. He was the strongest man in all of Arcadia, none could keep up with him. However, they had to maintain alliances, and Juniper was busy every single day, making sure alliances between Arcadia remained as such, since some alliances had become really fragile, due to what Nicholas had done. The aftermath caused massive distrust to spread between Arcadia and their alliances. She had to make sure they stayed and not turned against us. Issei helped her in however way he can. He was quite adept at rallying people to his side, something which Juniper noticed and took into consideration. This made things easier for them, giving them at least some breathing room for each other. Issei was reading his newspaper on the scroll he had as he spoke with a sigh, remembering the events that happened so far. Nicholas really ruined a lot of lives, didn't he, Drake? Drake spoke from the boosted gear as he spoke. You got that one right, buddy. He ruined his own children's lives for his own satisfaction. I am glad that bastard is permanently dead. Something we all have in common in Arcadia, but regardless, thanks to the mess that happened here. I doubt people would even trust those from the Four Kingdoms, many just could care less if they die. Issei spoke, as there was also massive distrust for the Four Kingdom people, especially those from the White Fang and Atlas. It was nothing but pure hatred for several of the Arcadians, with some even becoming racist towards them. Beside knowing how things have become, hating Nicholas as the man could have been the one to bridge the gap between the two worlds, but that bridge was completely destroyed, almost impossible to rebuild. He finished his Diet Coke and threw the can straight in the dustbin as he spoke. Perfect shot. Issei mused with boredom, he had nothing to do for now but to wait. The wedding was in a few hours, so he got up and decided to lie down. Well, Drake, once we are done with the wedding, I should probably finish the journey that I was in. Drake mused as he responded, what? Aren't you going to spend time with your fiancé? I do plan on doing so. Juniper knows about the journey, and Invictus is ready. I believe that soon enough. I will be heading out in the Outlands in a few days. I would love to contend with some of the beings there. Issei mused, wondering if he could find materials needed for his final god key, since he would be needing to be adding another material alongside Salium if he needs to work it out. Regardless, you should settle down with your new family, have some rest and recover. Issei nodded in agreement as he spoke. I won't be leaving immediately. I will obviously leave after a while and head for it, and besides, I should come back in few days, at most a month, but that is it. Alright, Ice, if you say so. Drake cuts off the call as Issei lies down on the bed. Soon enough, this magic circle shows up revealing Hades, as he asked, Ice, you aren't ready? Hades asked with a tone of surprise as Issei responded, I thought the wedding is in a few hours, Dad, is something wrong? I presumed you would be. Everything is arranged. I would suggest you to get ready as soon as possible, otherwise Persephone and Alcee would grill you alive if you are not up to standards. Hades spoke with concern, but there was fear as well, making Issei gulp and immediately hop up as Hades continued. I will be picking you up in 2 hours. Get ready, Ice, today is your big day, and you need to look your best. Hades spoke with a smile as he ruffled Issei's head as he spoke. I will, Dad, I will. Hades nodded as he went outside and spoke, if you need any help, let me know. Alright. Issei gave a nod as Hades went outside as Issei looked at his wedding clothes. He smiled knowing he has found the people he could truly love. Wedding reception, 5:30 p.m. Issei was seated inside the groom's room, well dressed as he was present alongside Liam, John and Hades. He had tried to run away, but Liam and Hades restrained him, making sure he did not run away. Seriously, even I was not this nervous when Persephone was marrying me. It's going to be alright. Hades spoke with a sigh, looking at Issei who was wearing wedding clothing for a groom. He wore a white tuxedo, a three-piece coat, a black shirt and white pants. He also wore a watch and his signature glasses. I am just scared, what if she rejects me? I don't think I have done anything wrong, right? The three men could only sigh at this, as John spoke. Come on, you are better than this, even I won't be nervous when it comes to my wedding. John soon turns his gaze away as he spoke. I hope Issei retorted in response. Not helping, Liam soon took a deep breath and spoke with a gentle tone. Issei, listen. Liam spoke as Issei turned to him as he continued. I understand being nervous on your wedding day, but know this Ice. I have seen how she acts like you, it's been a long time I have seen her this happy. My daughter is in good hands, Ice. When Nicholas turned on us, Juniper Liam trailed off in sadness as Hades kept his hand on him. Being a father of two girls, he would have despised a person that did what Nicholas did to Juniper if his two girls were the victims. Same went for Issei, who experienced that level of betrayal before, but in a different way. Thanks Hades, I am better than ever. Hades nodded as Liam continued looking towards Issei as he spoke. She was weeping for days when no one saw her. She often used to cry in her sleep, and as a father I could feel it. I could feel when my daughter's heart was weeping, crying in despair. Elsie informed me this when she passed by her room. She could hear her crying and she helped her in however way she could. But it was to no avail. She even felt lonely, something I believe you found out eventually, right? Issei nodded, remembering her time at the stranded planet. He could see John clenching his fists in anger. He now knew how much his betrayal affected him. I know I just couldn't see her like this. She did a lot for me. Had it not been for her, I would still be hated by many people, but I will keep your daughter happy, or try my best, that is something I promise. Liam responded with a smile of his own as he spoke. I know, I believe you should get ready. Issei nodded as he soon got up and headed towards the wedding hall. He took a deep breath to get ready for this. Scene change. The wedding guests had arrived as the original 15 along with the 501st was present. Issei was already on the altar waiting for Juniper. As soon enough Lily spoke. So John, how does it feel about your mom getting remarried? It feels nice. I know Issei will take care of mom, and it's been a long time since I have seen her this happy. John spoke with happiness in his tone. As Violet spoke, I one day envision us in that altar as well. Keep dreaming, I will be the one to be with John, Scarlet declared as Violet was about to retort, but Lily spoke. Girls, not today, please, we don't want to ruin the wedding. Lily spoke with a hushed tone. Scarlet reluctantly nodded as John sighed, knowing how these two just didn't get along. This happened especially after the cave scene that happened between the two, as Issei was one of the few that managed to come to know of it. He did promise to keep it a secret, and so far, he was able to keep it a secret. Anyways, I am happy that Issei will be able to keep your mom happy, and he would even be a good father, right? He already was to some of you. Murata spoke with happiness as Kafka spoke in agreement. You got that one right, plus he looks pretty amazing due to his growth spurt. Who knew he would turn from a boy to a man? Kafka's words were agreed by some members of the 501st, especially Nyx and Mocha. They were seated near them as well. Either way, we should probably enjoy the wedding. Kevin spoke, as the others agreed with it. So, our general is getting married to the Empress, Rias mused as Ingvild added. You are right on that one. You two doing okay? Kiba asked with concern, knowing these two liked to say as Nick spoke with a sigh. I am fine, I am happy for him, wished I had confessed to him earlier. Yamoka spoke in agreement as she spoke. I am not going to lie, I have never seen Icon this happy, he always seemed depressed due to his old life. What exactly happened in his old life? Ferlin asked as Nick spoke. It's pretty bad, all I can say is that no one should have gone through what he did. Scarlet and Akari wondered whether his life was as bad as theirs, while some others wondered just what exactly happened to Issei due to this. Others like John and Violet had a feeling that he had gone through a lot, which made him so reluctant to talk about his past to anyone before that. Anyways, we shouldn't be focusing on his past, everyone. The one who spoke was Great Red, who was in his dragonoid form, as Kiba asked. You could transform into a human, you know. I prefer this form, Kiba, I would like to stay as such. Kiba only shrugged in response, as Great Red added, anyways, it is my hatchling, I guess I can't call him that anymore. Great Red speaks while rubbing his head and spoke. I am just happy that he is getting married, and I can only hope happiness for him. Great Red's words were agreed by everyone as he took a seat next to the 501st, as Yoji asked, speaking of which, where is Office? She often used to hang out with you, right? She is coming in soon. As for the others, Alcee, Persephone and her two daughters are with Juniper. Yoji nodded as Nick spoke. The bride is certainly taking her sweet time, isn't she? Yep, it's cause she is nervous about this. The one who spoke was Office, who was in her wedding outfit. She soon sat beside Great Red. Many were startled to see her, since she was able to sneak in without a problem. So Office, how does it feel? Office only gave a sigh as she spoke. I am not going to lie, Baka Red, I am jealous, but I am happy seeing him in a much better state. Great Red nodded as Bianca asked, aren't you going to say something about the nickname? I am already used to it anyway. So it really does not matter. Great Red responded with a shrug as Murata spoke. Everyone, silent, the bride has arrived. Murata's words were heard by almost everyone as they looked at Juniper, who was accompanied by Persephone, Melano and Macaria. Juniper now wore a white veil on her forehead, a crown made of white flowers, 2 diamond-shaped earrings, her wedding dress comprised of a sleeveless wedding gown. She had a flowing wedding dress attached to it and she also wore heels. She soon walked forward and gave a blushing smile towards Issei. Issei couldn't help but have red tint on his face. She then spoke. You look amazing. Issei couldn't help but avoid her look as she could only chuckle seeing his flustered look as he spoke. You too, Juniper. Soon enough Juniper walked onto the altar and the pastor came to the altar and announced with a tone of happiness, it is an honor to host the wedding of Her Highness and the legendary Arcadian hero and the savior. Let us begin with the vows. The pastor spoke with happiness as Juniper spoke, my love, from the moment I met you, I knew you were the one. Today, I stand before our loved ones to pledge my eternal love and devotion to you. I promise to support you, inspire you, and cherish you every day for the rest of our lives. I shall do the same as well. Issei responded with a smile as he added, I promise to be your partner in all things, your confidant in all matters, and your greatest advocate in all endeavors. I vow to stand by your side through the highs and lows, offering my unwavering love and support through every moment we share together. My love for you knows no bounds, and my commitment to you is unwavering. Today, I give you my heart, my soul, and my promise to love you unconditionally, for as long as we both shall live. Juniper spoke with a smile, as the pastor then announced. So Miss Juniper Arc, do you take Issei Hyoudou as your husband? Juniper looked at Issei and nodded as she spoke, I do. And you Issei Hyoudou, do you take Juniper Arc as your wife? Issei nodded as he spoke, I do. Please make them wear the wedding rings. The pastor spoke as he motioned the Persephone, and Liam walked forward to hand the two the rings, as they made them wear it. The pastor then exclaimed with a smile. You may now kiss the bride. Issei and Juniper looked at each other as they soon French kissed each other. Everyone clapped and cheered for the newlywed bride and bridegroom. Issei pulled her closer to him. Juniper soon wrapped her arms around him. It was truly a happy day for everyone around. The kiss lasted for a while. Everyone watched with happiness, especially those that were closer to both Issei and Juniper. They soon split themselves from the lack of air as Juniper speaks, and I pledge myself to you until the very end, and I am yours. Issei responded with the same, I do too. Issei spoke as he looked at the others and back to Juniper, more than anything else. Juniper returned it with a smile of her own. They watched as everyone including their own daughters, son, friends and family members were cheering for them. Scene change. Private room, Arc family mansion, 1 a.m. Issei was back in his room or new room since this is where they will be staying. He could go back if he wanted to, but for his new wife's sake. He decided to stay here. He was back in his home clothing, mostly his pajamas. He looked towards Juniper who was still in the shower. He waited for her to come out. Soon enough, she came out. Her hair was still wet. She did wear proper clothing. She wore her pajamas as well, as she spoke. So. Juniper walks towards him and speaks, seems like we have finally gotten married. Issei. Yep, never thought I would see this day but. Issei lied on the bed and spoke, I would be with someone that would have loved me. Juniper only chuckled at this as she lied down and rested her head on his shoulder. She soon spoke, Ice, since this is our bedroom I was thinking. Maybe we should do it, right now I wouldn't mind doing it with you if you want. Juniper spoke with a seductive grin, as Issei could only look away causing her to wrap her arms around his head. Her breathing became heavier and warmer, with it being felt on Issei's lips. She soon started to approach even closer. Issei was having difficulty controlling his instincts. Juniper only grinned and started to make out with him, catching him off guard. Unable to control his own instincts, he returned the kiss, catching her off guard. They soon started to have their first moment together, as Juniper waited for a year to do this. He was her real-life partner, and she was not going to let him go that easily. Soon enough they split up, a thread of saliva forming between their lips. She soon speaks, we can take it to the next level, if you'd like. Juniper spoke, she did not want to rush him in any way. Issei then spoke, sure, if that is what you'd like. Juniper only smiled as she started to undress herself. They had a very good first night of marriage. A few hours later. Issei and Juniper were sleeping, albeit naked, as Issei seemed to be twisting and turning in his sleep. His turning woke up Juniper who started to wake up. She turned around to see Ice. Juniper understood that he was having a nightmare. She kept his hand on him and asked, Drake, you awake? Yes, I am. Drake spoke as Juniper sighed in relief. He then spoke, he is having a nightmare. It is related to his past. But how? Juniper asked with a tone of surprise as she added, didn't we deal with that already? My guess is that there is still some parts left of his past that needed to be closed. I believe you have an idea on what it is, right, given him. Juniper nodded. Nicholas's betrayal will always affect her, but she knew that time will heal that wound as well. But for now, she had to help her lover. Reg, can you let me in his mindscape? Juniper spoke as she kept his hand to send some calming energy to him. As she spoke, let me help him, he helped me a lot, allowing me to get over Nicholas. Had it not been for him, I would never have even fallen in love, and my state would be worse than before. Juniper turned her gaze away, remembering what Nicholas did. Like him, she had her own past to get through. She shook her thoughts as Drake spoke. Very well then, trust me, it is very bad. It was how his so-called family treated him. Juniper nodded. As she was in his mindscape, she had to help him in his nightmare. She couldn't interfere before, but she will try to do so now. Scene change. Inside Issei's mindscape, 4 a.m. Juniper was inside his mindscape. She wore her pajamas as she was looking at a much younger Issei being kicked in the face by Dai, with his parents watching him with a serious and cold tone. Juniper gritted her teeth in anger. She hated his so-called birth parents and despised Dai as he reminded her of Nicholas's true self. Drake, since you and Issei share the same mindscape, can you try and manipulate this mindscape? Drake nodded as he spoke. Yep, back then I was unable to do much due to what the trial did, letting Issei fight against his own past, but this was not a vision, it was a nightmare. I can do that. Thanks, those two, they are nothing but disgraces to the word parent. I will show them what a real parent does, Juniper spoke with a sadistic grin as Drake nodded. He gulped in fear as he manipulated the mindscape to his needs. Both Issei and Drake can do that if they wanted to. No sooner that this was heard, Juniper blitzed in front of Dai, punching him so hard that he was sent flying. Everyone was shocked by this as Mickey shouted, "Who the hell are you?" Juniper ignored her as Izumo went to Dai, who was recovering as Izumo healed him up. Juniper picked up the child Issei, who was crying as she rubbed his back and spoke with a calming tone. "It's alright, Ice. Woman, you better answer." "Who the hell?" Juniper cuts him off as she spoke coldly. "Shut up, you piece of shit." Her cold tone made the Hyoudou couple angrier as they summoned magic circles. Izumo then joined in with Dai and Aika, along with several members of the Hyoudou family. Juniper only generated a small protective barrier around a child Issei before turning to the family. Now then, Juniper turned her gaze as she spoke. "You idiots have some nerve of doing that to a mere child, letting him suffer, be tormented just because he had no magical power. You are nothing but low-lives and deserve nothing but death." Mickey shouted only for Juniper to raise her aura, making them all back away nervously. Some were even more fearful. Juniper was beyond angry, seeing how badly Issei was treated just because he lacked magical prowess. Her aura was suffocating to some of the students as baby Issei held onto her for protection as she used her free hand to calm him down. "You should be ashamed of calling yourself a mother, Mickey Hyoudou, doing this to such an innocent child. I couldn't even imagine doing this to my own son. You deserve a fate worse than death. Same goes to you, Goru Hyoudou." The Hyoudou family was about to attack her as Juniper spoke to Issei softly. "Ice, close your eyes and cover your ears, don't look at what is going to happen. Okay." Issei nodded as he closed his eyes and covered his ears using his arms. She soon breathed flames onto the family and started to burn every last member down. The water and fire magic users tried to defend from the flames. Juniper scoffed at their pathetic attempt to survive and defend themselves. She took sadistic delight in torturing them. She grinned seeing them suffer and begged for mercy as she walked away with Issei towards a safe distance and spoke. "Ice, you can open your eyes and ears." Issei did so as he asked, "Wani-sama, where are they?" "They're gone, Ice." Issei only looked at her and nodded as he spoke. "Dai torments me on a weekly basis. I tell my parents, but they never listen, they only ignore me. I don't understand why they torment me. My magic is..." Juniper only puts her hand on his finger and speaks with a smile. "They won't be bothering you ever again, you are now safe and alive." Issei soon teared up as he spoke while crying. "Thank you, Wani-sama, thank you." Issei kept repeating this as Juniper only hugged him and rubbed his head to calm him down. She held him tightly as she gritted her teeth in anger. She will never forgive the Hyoudous for making Issei's life miserable to this extent. Greg smiled in delight, seeing how much help he was finally getting as he spoke with a low tone. "Partner, break free from any attachments you have left towards your so-called family. I believe you can do it." Scene change. Issei soon woke up as he saw Juniper sleeping. She soon woke up a few moments later as she asked, "How do you feel?" "Better," Issei mused as Juniper only hugged him. She then spoke, "You won't have to suffer anymore, I know what you went through. Your family made your life miserable, but not anymore. They won't hurt you anymore, you can be assured that. We will have our own ups and downs, but you will have a much better life. I promised you before when we first met, and now, I will make sure that it happens." Issei could only tear up. He never thought he would be hearing this ever again. He always hid his past behind with a smile that was fake. But not anymore, his smile was genuine as time passed by, and now it was real. He cried onto Juniper, who only rubbed his back. He was family, and she would help him in any way, no matter what happens. Easy Ice, or should I say darling, you will no longer be shackled by your past anymore. I promise you that. Juniper calmed the crying Issei, as he was starting to become free from his past, and eventually, he will become completely free. Scene change. Time skip brought to you by Chibi. Issei getting sucked into a portal, while Chibi Juniper walks in after that, wondering where Issei went. 2 weeks later, Arcadian Mansion, 9:30 AM. Take care of yourself, John. The one who spoke was Juniper. She and Issei hugged their son, as she was accompanied by Issei's real family, friends and the rest of her family. They were present since John had to remain in hiding due to the Black Arms, until this situation was fixed. Many remnants had fled to the Four Kingdoms, as their goal was to locate them. Additionally, Willow and several others had already headed to the Four Kingdoms to deal with them and eliminate them. However, they don't know that Carmilla and Frisia, along with her small batch, were heading to the DXD world. John was being sent on hiding. This was due to an incident which made him a target once, involving the village. As he spoke, I will be fine, Mom, Dad, plus I have Osbin looking after me. Osbin was described to be a middle-aged man with tousled silver hair and thin brown eyes. He has a light complexion and sharp facial features. Interestingly, Osbin has black eyebrows, suggesting that he may have had black hair when he was younger. He wears shaded glass spectacles and a small purple, cross-shaped pin on the cowl around his neck. His outfit mainly consists of an unzipped black suit over a dark green, button vest and green shirt. He also wears black trouser shoes and long dark green pants. Osbin, we are counting on you, please protect John. Hades spoke with a worried tone. As Osbin spoke, I will, you can count on it, Lord Hades. Lord Hyoudou, Lady Arc, you can trust that your son will be safe in Beacon till the situation with the Black Arms has been cleared. Juniper and Issei nodded as Persephone gave a hug to her grandson as she spoke. Take care, John. John returned the hug and nodded. He soon joined Osbin as they boarded of Toll and headed towards Vale in Beacon Academy. Issei then spoke. You sure this is a good idea? Issei spoke as Juniper responded. It was the last resort, and you did put an instant teleport spell in case he is in danger, right? I did, and if John does go into danger, I will handle things here. Juniper nodded as he spoke. Well, I should also get going for my own journey. Right, take care of yourself, Ice. Juniper hugged Issei as he returned it. Nyx, Office and Mocha watched with jealousy as they soon split up. He looked towards Invictus and spoke. You ready for this? Invictus added in response, you bet. Issei and Invictus head to their own toll as he speaks. Take care everyone, we will meet again soon. Issei and Invictus wave goodbye as his family also does the same. Issei was seen wearing a backpack once the toll was out of location. Juniper and the others were ready to head back when she noticed the look on the three girls. Ladies. Juniper motioned to Office, Nyx and Mocha as they looked at her. She then spoke, mind if we have a conversation, personally? The three nodded as the others walked ahead. Nyx then asked, what is it that you wanted to talk about? Juniper. Did something happen? Mocha asked with concern. Well, they were jealous, they understood that she would keep him happy and she did. I wanted to know, do you three still have feelings for Issei? The girls tried to deny it with an embarrassing nature as Juniper spoke, please don't, I know the three of you still love Issei. You shared a very close bond long before I even met him, especially you Office. The girls had a red tint as Juniper chuckled as she spoke, well, I was considering a possibility of a harem, you girls can be with Issei. I am not against you three loving Issei in any manner. Wait, are you sure? Office asked, to which Juniper nodded. Yes, that is how it is, I don't mind you three being with Issei, but Juniper's draconic traits show up as she speaks. Hurt him and you will regret it. The three girls looked at her for a moment as Nyx speaks. I would rather die than hurt him. Ingvild of the DXD world harmed him, but I will never do so, no matter what happens. Juniper only looked at her and gave a smile as she responded. Well, as long as Ice is alright. You should be alright, but hurt him and you will suffer. Nyx declared seriously in response. Same to you, Juniper, I won't be losing to you. You'd have to try harder if you want to gain Ice's affection, Nyx. Juniper mused as Nyx understood what she had to do. She had to confess to Issei when he gets back. She soon turns to Mocha and Office and speaks. And what about you girls? Mocha nodded in agreement as she spoke. I am also in agreement, I won't lose to you. Me neither. Office spoke with conviction. She no longer spoke as emotionlessly as she used to before. She then continued, Issei taught me emotions. One of the reasons I changed my form to a more mature looking woman is because I want Issei to see me differently. I will wait till he is ready, but I will confess to him on how I feel. Issei never used me or toyed with me, he cared for me like my very own and loved me when others feared my powers or used me for their own goals. They wanted my power for their own selfish goals, but Issei, he never did. I tried helping them see the truth, but they ignored me and never took me seriously. Issei did not blame me for not helping him. Juniper shook her head and spoke. This is just how Ice is, he is way better than Nicholas, he was there for me when I was at my lowest, my children look up to him and care for him, they have even been seeing him as a family. He acted like your brother and chose to be your family when all others either feared you or wanted to use you for your powers. The office nodded in agreement to Juniper's words as they all caught up with the rest of the family. The three girls waited for Issei to return so that they can confess to him. Scene change. Outlands, 11 a.m. Issei and Invictus arrived in the dreaded Outlands, the same location that once housed the base of the Black Arms, but they were no longer there. Issei and Invictus soon walked ahead as they noticed a Kirin which was described to be a unicorn, though a closer look reveals that it has a lion-like face and is covered in scales, rather than a coat. The Kirin had a mane of fur as well as a bushy tail tip. Tufts of fur run down its shoulders and above its hoofs. The Kirin has black stripe-like markings along its sides and legs. The beast has crimson-colored eyes. Its majestic white mane and hair stand on end, as if charged with static. The monster often crackles with stray electricity. The Kirin turned to the two and neighed loudly as Invictus spoke while bringing out the Umbra lamp, which was able to control souls. He gained this lamo during his journey in the kingdom of the undead. Be ready for this. Issei brought out his Excalibur and spoke, you bet I am, let's rock this horse. The two got ready for their fight as the Kirin charged at them. Issei soon dashed forward alongside Invictus as they yelled their battle cries ready to clash in the Outlands. Scene change. In the DXD world. Bergori, 3:30 p.m. Shemhazai was working on some paperwork as suddenly the door was knocked as Shemhazai spoke. I'm inside. No sooner this was heard Azazel came bursting in as he had some news. I was able to find a trace of the magic and find out about the location where it is. Please, do tell me more. Azazel soon puts forward the datapad and spoke. We have been working on some of the locations, using the dimensional gap to pinpoint where Hades or Nyx's magic was, and we were also able to find out the magic signature of Drag, and using the sacred gear system, we found out where the Red Dragon Emperor is. So where are you talking about? Shemhazai asked with surprise as Azazel spoke. The research and work we did to locate it allowed us to find where it is in. It is located in. Azazel spoke after a small pause before having a grin. Arcadia. Over 3. Honeymoon fun. 3 weeks later, Issei's personal laboratory, 9:30 a.m. 3 weeks have passed since the time Issei had left from the location of the hell known as the Outlands. As soon as he came back, he immediately brought a Diet Coke bottle and gulped it down instantly, much to Invictus's surprise. However, he soon realized that it was just how Issei was. He soon headed home, where he was greeted by Juniper, who was surprisingly waiting for him in his own personal house. She immediately pulled him in and embraced him, not caring for if anyone was watching him. As Issei returned the kiss, they soon split up due to the lack of air as they head inside. Soon enough, Issei revealed several items he had gotten from the raids that happened in the Outlands. Before that, Issei asked where are the rest, as Juniper responded they were back at their own kingdoms doing their own jobs. The items consisted of Kirin's horn, Rajang pelt, golden Rajang pelt, Rajang fang, Rajang claw, Fatalis shell, Fatalis scale, Fatalis hardhorn, and parts of other Elder Dragon class monsters there to name a few. That is quite the pile of items. Juniper mused as she touched the Kirin's mane, feeling a surge of electricity as Issei approached her. She then spoke, I am fine, just surprised that electricity would remain after weeks of beating a Kirin. Oh, believe me, that sucker just wouldn't die. It took us working together to actually put the beast down, and don't even get me started on the Rajang. That Mothrabiker can transform into a Super Saiyan and had a bucking Kamehameha wave that would wipe us out, Issei exclaimed with horror as Juniper turned her eyes and spoke, I can tell. Most monsters you faced were Elder Dragon rank, a rank only S-rank adventurers could face, and both of you did survive in the end, in a place like the Outlands. I'd say you did quite well. Juniper spoke her words of encouragement as Issei nodded. He soon lied on the bed with Juniper sitting beside him as Issei asked, speaking of which, I believe Cardin and his group have already headed to Vale, right? To protect John. Issei put his hands behind the head as Juniper mused. Yep, he has already gone. Ozpin won't be able to protect him from those outsiders alone, so it was our only choice to do so. Issei only nodded. He didn't blame his wife's hatred for those from the Four Kingdoms, since she was obviously betrayed by someone she thought as a lover. She would never see them in a good light, at least for a while that is. And we do have some spies that would be dealing with Shinra remnants like Willow-sensei and General James Ironwood to name a few, so that is another this. Juniper nodded in agreement as Issei spoke after a small silence between them. Truth be told, I am jealous of John. He has loving sisters like the Arc sisters and a loving mother like you, Juniper. I never had that privilege, and I am also happy for John. Juniper looked at him for a moment as she nodded, remembering Dai and Aika, as well as some of the cousins he had talked about, as Juniper spoke while lying down next to him. But you are forgetting about Melano and Macaria, they are your siblings, aren't they? Issei only responded with a sigh as he spoke, I met them recently, 19 years of my life, it was dealing with them. It seems like that, honestly if Ika or Dai would be my children, I would have disciplined them personally. Juniper spoke with a cold tone as Issei pondered on what would have happened if she were to ever meet them. Either way, he could care less, since that was on them. Issei then spoke. You know, when I first met you before the Civil War, I did not know what I did, or where to go, I was all alone, looked down upon by my old world. My family hated me for not being like my younger siblings, my friends and classmates believed his lies of thinking me as a pervert and a deceiver, but you did not, you saw through me, and gave me a new life, you gave me and my allies and only believers a new home, and for that I am eternally grateful to you. Juniper could only smile as she spoke. Where did that come from? Issei only returned with a smile, I am not sure, just felt like saying it. I see. Juniper spoke as she added, speaking of which, any plans for our honeymoon? I always wanted to visit the United States of my homeworld but never got to, since my parents always kept ignoring me. I even tried speaking to my uncles, but they always either ignored me or denied me. Dai and Ika went to every location, and sometimes they even forget me, leaving me behind. Hell, the first birthday I celebrated properly was my 17th birthday with Hades and his family alongside Office and Great Red. Juniper felt even more sadder and angry at how Issei was treated by his own family. She knew what she had to do. How about this ice? Juniper spoke as she gets up and looks at Issei, she then speaks, we will head to that location, have some fun just like a regular couple, does that sound good? Are you sure? Won't this cause a problem against the factions? Juniper shook her head and spoke, they are welcome to try, all they will get is death if they try and kill us, and in your case if they capture us. Alright if you say so. Issei's expression soon changes to a smile, so when do you want to go? Right now. Issei soon turned to Juniper and asked, but what about? I have informed about it to mine and your family, father has taken his place in handling the kingdom's absence in my affairs. So we can enjoy our time together. Juniper spoke with a smile as Issei looked at her for a moment and responded, sure, why not? Issei and Juniper were in casual clothing as Alcee spoke, well, have fun both of you and enjoy yourselves. And do send us some pictures, Persephone exclaimed with a cheerful tone as Issei spoke, I will. Oh and Juniper, please call me mother and Hades, father, if it makes you feel comfortable. Persephone looked to Juniper who spoke with a smile and a red tint, I don't mind calling you my mother. That's good. Persephone spoke with a chuckle as Violet soon added with a grin, speaking of which dad, do tell us on how much fun you had with mom. Violet. Juniper muttered with a red tint on her face as Issei also added, I am no position to answer that Violet, my bed life is private and I am not that comfortable sharing it with anyone else. Issei spoke while turning his gaze away as Violet only pouted in response, being the pervert she is, she wanted to know more. The others started to chuckle seeing this as Hades spoke, regardless, you should be fine, even if they try and annoy you. No worry dad, they won't think twice before hurting us. Issei spoke, knowing who exactly he was talking about. Soon enough, the Ragnarok that was piloted towards them by Invictus who spoke, the ship is ready. Issei nodded as he spoke, thanks Invictus. Well we will be taking our leave. Issei and Juniper spoke as they headed into the ship to head to the DXD world for their honeymoon. They all waved their goodbyes to them as the Arc siblings watch Issei leave with their mother, they were starting to see Issei as their father, even if he was almost the same age as Bianca. Scene change in the DXD world, Mandarin Oriental, New York, 9:30 a.m. The two managed to settle down in one of the most luxurious hotel in all of New York, USA. Issei then spoke, wow, Jade really knows how to work wonders, she already managed to settle us in one of the most luxurious hotel. Well, that is our daughter after all. Issei rubbed his head and spoke, but before he could speak, Juniper cuts him off and speaks, Ice, she is your daughter too, sure she was not born from us, but she was already close to you before. Nicholas used and abandoned her, well you did not, you worked with her, cared for her, laughed with her. She and Rosemary were the first to see you as their father, and soon enough, I bet everyone will also do the same. Issei only looked at her and nodded as Juniper spoke while keeping his hand as she spoke, anyways, now that you are here, any ideas on how we shall proceed? Like which place do you want to go? Issei thought for a moment as he spoke. Well, I always wanted to head towards the Empire State Building and I wanted to visit the Yellowstone National Park. It is located on the other side and is on the opposite side. Juniper nodded as she spoke, that can be arranged, but first let us cover New York. Issei looked at her and nodded, he remembered that they can just teleport to that location. Let's drop our stuff and head outside. We should have fun today. Issei nodded as the couple headed outside having a normal date. Here, they were not known by their titles, just a normal regular human couple. Juniper and Issei took a local locomotive towards the Empire State Building as they waited in the lines to take a ticket. They soon traveled to each and every location as Juniper looked at the binoculars to see the vision. Sure, she could transform into her own dragon form to get a better view, but a part of her really enjoyed the view as well. They soon purchased some souvenirs as well, with the couple enjoying traveling the Empire State Building. Juniper looked at a shirt which she liked as she called out to Issei and made him try the shirt. She looked at his toned body and gave a nod of approval. They purchased the shirt as they headed down from the location and moved to the Times Square as Issei headed to the Nintendo store and went inside. He beamed at the Mario and other games that he wanted to see for once. He remembered on how he was denied this simple pleasure, but there was no one that could deny this. Juniper had a smile seeing Issei act like this. She knew he never got to live a good childhood and he was kind of reliving it. He had purchased several games and a Nintendo Switch as he placed them in their bags, which were 15 in total. Geez, Ice, you certainly did not hold back, didn't you? Juniper spoke with a smile as Issei responded, I wanted to play these games, but never actually got the chance to do so. I also wasn't sure whether they actually were available on the other Earths. Hope you don't mind. Juniper shook her head and responded, I don't actually. It is nice to see you this happy. Issei looked at her and remained in a daze. He was unable to understand on why Nicholas chose to abandon such an angel for power. He hated that man even more for doing this to her, breaking her in such a manner. Now come on. Issei snapped out of his thoughts as she spoke, we should head to the Metropolitan Museum of Arts. Issei looked at her and spoke with a beaming smile. Yes, the couple soon headed to the location as Issei puts the bags and the console in a different pocket dimension. They headed to the Arts Museum as they looked at the design of some of the art pieces there. They also headed to other locations like the Fifth Avenue, the Statue of Liberty, Central Park, Wall Street and Rockefeller Center. Juniper, like every woman, purchased a lot of clothing in total for herself and Issei and the kids. She also brought for her parents as well as Issei's family during their visit to the Fifth Avenue. Issei sighed at the amount of clothes she had purchased. However, he could see how she is enjoying herself, which made even him happy. They soon looked at the time, noting it was evening, as Juniper spoke. Well, I was thinking, maybe we should visit this Yellowstone National Park. Nighttime would be perfect to view it, wouldn't you say? We can even go camping if you want. Issei looked at her for a moment and spoke, sure, let's keep this stuff though. Juniper nodded as they decided to take a locomotive all the way back to their room. They kept their stuff and locked their room as they prepared the stuff and food to head for a camp. They purchased most of their camping stuff as they teleported to the Yellowstone National Park. Scene change. Yellowstone National Park, 11:30 p.m. Issei and Juniper had set up their camp as they sat down on a log. They were present for a few hours at this point. They both had worn camping clothes which comprised of loose shirts and track pants. Juniper then spoke. It's been a while since I have come on these camping trips. I used to go in them when I was quite young, with my own batchmates. Juniper spoke, remembering the trips she had while she was in boot camp. Issei then spoke. You went on such camping trips before? Juniper nodded as she spoke, most of us did. It is actually compulsory in Arcadia to go for these camping trips. Had to deal with my fair share of bullies, but… Juniper clenches her fist and speaks with a sadistic grin. I made sure to straighten each and every one of them. I was even able to fool the instructors into thinking that I was only helping them, while they cried in pain. Issei couldn't help but gulp at this prospect of the one on the receiving end of her sadistic actions. Yet, he had to applaud on how she had to handle the decision. However, before they could move, an arrow was swung right towards them. Ice, I did not know that there were stray arrows running around. Juniper spoke mockingly as Issei rushed to her and asked, are you fine? It's going to take a lot than that to harm me. Juniper spoke as Issei took a look at an arrow and widened his eyes in shock. You recognize the arrow, don't you? Juniper asked with concern as Issei looked at her and gave a nod. The arrow, last time I recollected, belongs to the Huntresses of Artemis. They are a batch of huntresses that have taken a vow of celibacy. They are stated to be immortal like Artemis, albeit not as strong. Juniper nodded in agreement as Issei spoke with a tone of surprise. Although, what are they doing here? They should be in Greece since that is where they mostly run around. Issei pondered as several arrows tried to attack her which they dodged. This is getting annoying. Juniper spoke with a growl as Issei spoke, mind if I deal with the attacker, dear? All yours, but if things so get south, I would love to join. Juniper spoke with a grin as Issei responded, never thought you were a battle maniac. I was, remember my fights with Willow. Issei nodded as he spoke while turning his gaze away. It was hard to imagine you as a reckless and nothing but a battle maniac, but your case is understandable. It is not like a certain white dragon empress I know. Juniper raised her eyebrow at first as she shook her head in amusement. She knew about Valerie from Issei and knew she would give her the battle she always wanted, with some breaking her bones for tormenting Issei. She then spoke. Anyways, we will discuss later, let's deal with them first, try and see if she can reason with. Then we destroy them. Issei nodded as he soon headed out to the location. Meanwhile, the huntress was starting to get annoyed. They were able to sense and dodge their attacks. She had tattered clothing which involved a partially torn dress and tracks as she spoke. This is not good. The girl was about to leave when someone tapped her on her shoulder. She turned her gaze towards Issei and spoke as Issei fixes his glasses. You know, it is not nice to attack campers that are just enjoying their time in this amazing park. Issei spoke with a smile. Scene change. The girl was sent flying towards a nearby tree as she gritted her teeth in pain. Issei was seen walking towards her as he spoke. You can just apologize for what you did and we will forget what just happened. Issei gave a glance towards Juniper who was masking her presence. She only waited for her lover's signal to unleash hell upon them. He gave a glance to the huntress who was gritting her teeth in fury as she spoke. I will never apologize to you. You dirty man, you have some nerve of striking a huntress of Artemis. You will regret. Issei was worried that Juniper may lose it as he sighed. He knew about the hatred Artemis has for men. He soon noticed himself surrounded by several of Artemis's huntresses. They were around 30-40 women of various ages, youngest seemingly looking like 18 years old. Juniper was gripping the branch she was on. She was worried on how the situation was turning out. She knows her limitations, and she may have to go all out on Artemis if she does become a problem. A goddess is someone that must not be crossed with. They are nothing like those from the Four Kingdoms, and could easily even match the brother gods if they wanted to, especially someone like Shiva. She may be powerful and even potentially stronger than him, but only if she is in her dragon or icon form, otherwise, she also has her limitations in her human form. Her attention was turned to Issei, as one of the huntress, a woman in her 30s spoke. You are surrounded human, surrender yourself man, so you can accept death. Issei sighed. He and Juniper hid their aura, perfectly blending into the surroundings as he spoke. Look, I am only going to say this once, we were having a peaceful camping trip to your lady right there. Issei pointed to the huntress, who gritted her teeth in anger on being found out so easily, as he continued, thought we are easy prey and attacked us without a problem, just let us go and let us mind our own business. And we would be fine, not an issue. Issei looked at the huntress speaking amongst ourselves, as their leader spoke, which was the same woman who had warned Issei earlier. We will call our goddess Artemis, she will decide on what needs to be done. That seems fair. Issei spoke with a shrug as the huntress contacted their lady, as he looked at Juniper who seemed to be waiting near the branch. She waited patiently till a magic presence that made the two worried showed up. The huntresses bowed in respect which speaking. Lady Artemis is here. The woman that showed up was described to be a young woman with round blue eyes and long white hair, with the bottom of her hair attaches to a large circular ornament. She wears long white dress with red tip at the bottom, a silver necklace, and a pair of sandals. She wields large bow which is capable of firing arrows made of pure energy as a weapon. This was Artemis, the goddess of hunting. So why did you summon Artemis? Asked as she turned her gaze towards Issei who she looked with disdain. What is a man doing here? Seriously, everyone gives me hate glares from every supernatural being, even the ones that don't know me. Issei muttered in a very low tone. He sweat dropped seeing how many hated him at this point. He was used to it, but even the ones he did not even meet hate him. Like Artemis, who he only heard from the factions and recognized their bows and arrows from reading the memories of other girls. He has been trespassing into our territory. We caught him having fun with his woman. We don't know where she is. The lead hunter spoke, as Artemis gave a glance to Issei as she spoke with disdain. Do you have any words, man? Issei only walked forward and spoke with a respectful tone. Look, Lady Artemis, we were just here camping. One of your huntress was being the one that attacked us. We mean you no harm. We will just mind our business and let you be, alright. And why should I believe the words coming out from a man like you? Artemis spoke with utter disdain. As Issei spoke, he was losing his patience a little bit. His past was being reminded and he did not like that one bit. Look, Lady Artemis, I am being respectful. We were having a camping trip and besides, your territory isn't America, it is Greece. Hell, I don't even know what your huntresses are doing here to begin with. Please, let us go and we will let you be. Issei spoke as he continued, well, Artemis was ready to kill him, not to mention, your huntress was the first to attack us, not the other way around. We have no quarrel and we should keep it that way. And why the hell should I believe you in any way? You men are all the same, rotten, deceitful, callous, ruthless, power-hungry and condescending. Issei only glared at her as he spoke, says the one coming from Zeus. What was that, you disgraceful human? Artemis spat with venom, as Issei only responded. You heard me right, your father is a rapist who rapes young women, your mother she was a victim of your father. You have so much respect for your pathetic excuse of a man known as your father. Artemis was only seething when she heard of how this mortal man looked down on her father. She knew her father was that type, yet he was still the king of Olympus, he deserved respect. Then what about women? We have your kind that is known to lie, cheat, deceive, humiliate, to name a few of their traits. I could go on all day on how flawed your man-hating ideology is. You are pathetic, Artemis, and you are foolish to fight someone that had no interest in fighting you. Issei coldly declared as Artemis could only grip her bow in anger and fury as she commanded. "You damned man-thing, kill him." The huntresses raised their bows and arrows as Issei only shouted in response. Juniper, now suddenly a blast of very strong magical power, surrounded Artemis and the lead huntress, exploding on impact. Those surrounding her were instantly wiped out, killing them as their bodies disintegrated on impact. "No!" Artemis shouted in horror, seeing 7 of her huntresses being killed by such an explosion. The attacker soon showed up, as this was revealed to be Juniper, who was in her armor. She had already transformed into her dragonoid form prior, as she spoke. "Lady Artemis, we are fully capable of killing your huntresses. You have one choice. You can either leave or perish. The choice is yours." Juniper spoke with a cold tone, as Issei brought out the Star of Eden, ready for a fight. Kill them all," Artemis declared angrily, as the huntresses, all angered by their death of their sisters. They all aimed their weapons as Issei spoke. "Leave Artemis to me, you can take out the huntresses, right?" Juniper nodded, her battle maniac nature being revealed as she spoke. "Easy prey." "Fair enough." Juniper soon blitzed towards the lead huntress and grabbed her by the throat. Artemis tried to save her, but Issei blocked her strike with her free hand, much to her shock. He soon punched her, sending her flying. That punch didn't do much to her, as Issei and Juniper nodded. Artemis aimed her bow and fired several shots towards Issei, who just used his staff to block it with ease. Issei looked at Artemis and spoke. "You chose poorly, goddess." Issei's staff started to glow with purple magic energy, which made Artemis shudder. She recognized it to be gravity magic. She fired few shots, as Issei only deflected each and every one of them with his staff, completely nullifying it into nothingness, much to her shock and surprise. He soon dashed towards her and unleashed synthetic black hole, coming to the other side. He got into his pose. As he fixed his glasses, Artemis shouted in pain due to the immense strain that was being put on her. Artemis gritted her teeth in pain. She used her strength to pull herself from the black hole, which she managed to. She soon landed a huge punch on Issei, which sent him flying. He looked to his lips as it was bleeding. He wiped the blood as Artemis fired several more shots towards him, which were imbued with divine aura. Issei blocked every single attack with his staff, which made Artemis really annoyed. The staff was becoming even more problematic. Meanwhile, Juniper was surrounded by her huntress, who were using magic-imbued shots onto them. She only smirked sadistically as she slammed her spear to the ground, creating eruptions that shook the huntress's attention. Quickly dashing around, Juniper attacked the lead huntress by slamming her in the stomach and stabbing her in the heart. The huntress soon lost her vision and died in her hands. "Huh? It seems like you have immortality," Juniper spoke to the others, who were all tearing up at their huntress's death as she continued, "but you can still die in battle. So, it is more or less longevity. Works for me." Juniper spoke as she used a magic beam and immediately stabbed a chain of them in their hearts or brains, completely destroying them. This immediately killed them. They tried to run or dodge, but they were unable to do so. Juniper was quite skilled in magic. When it comes to matters like this, she looked at their corpses as Juniper shook her head in disappointment. All this could have been avoided if they had just left them alone. Issei gave the girls multiple chances to apologize and walk away, but they chose this. "I wonder how Issei is doing things," Juniper muttered as she saw Issei bringing out the black abyss white flower. He was using his fighting style, keeping up with the attacks of Artemis, who was only using her bow, and when he came closer, he used earth style, blocking it as a kanji of earth appears on his gear's gem when he summoned it. He blocked the arrows with black abyss as he used white flower to create the same arrows, as he used the boosted gear to transfer more power onto them. She could see Artemis was at her last breath. "Why, you're the Red Dragon Emperor?" Artemis noticed this and spoke with concern. So far she has been unable to land a single hit onto Issei, due to his strength and combat technique being a perfect counter to her. He motioned the white flower to send it at the same speed as Artemis dodged them. She looked back to see the damage her shots caused, and she was horrified to see what had happened. The whole forest location had been destroyed by them. Issei then spoke. "You got that one right, Artemis. I am the Red Dragon Emperor, and let me tell you. You have made the biggest mistake attacking me, cause I am a man who was just enjoying a camping trip with his wife." Artemis gritted her teeth in frustration. He was able to handle her attacks without using the boosted gear. He constantly blocked with ice or earth stance to eliminate her arrows or block her closed range attacks. He followed it up with Void Strike and Light Strike, unleashing devastating blows of eye strikes towards Artemis, who was struggling to block all of them. He then used a heavy light strikes aimed at her, which was enhanced by magic and allowed Issei to increase the power and speed of the strikes, allowing him to attack Artemis with brutal strength. The end result was Artemis was breathing heavily. She couldn't keep up with Issei any longer, and she hated that. She hated that a man was overpowering her. She was tattered and unable to do much. She decided to end it with her using several arrows aimed at him. But Issei used his swords to block the attacks and redirected at them, as she barely avoided the attacks. Juniper soon joined in as she spoke. "You know, it is funny on how you gods think about yourselves. You think the world revolves around you, that we must all kneel and worship you, but that is where you are wrong. You expect our worship and for us to respect you, but you have done nothing to earn that respect. You expect it just because you are a goddess, didn't you? Well, news flash, you are never going to expect any of us to bend the knee or our worship. Artemis, you are not worthy of that, and will never be, because of your attitude. Juniper declared with anger in her voice. She hated on how Artemis hated men, just cause she had a bad relationship beforehand. Even she suffered the exact same thing, but she never hated John, Issei or the males in her family. She never hated any male Arcadian, just because they are male. While she did hate those from the four kingdoms, it was because of their nature, and not because they have the male gender. Artemis was seething in anger from this, as she aimed her bow, but before she could use them, Issei dashed and used the black abyss to slice off her left hand, making her scream in pain. Artemis looked at her hand in horror. It was gone, there was no trace of it left. It was because the black abyss can destroy matter while the white flower can recreate that. They are the key of creation for a reason. So this is the power of God. Key number 6, Juniper muttered as Artemis spoke while pleading. She knew the huntresses that were present were already dead. However, there were still many more in the Yellowstone that were hunting down wild animals as their usual hunt. At the very least she and her huntress or what remains of them can survive. Issei brought his blade down. Artemis begged to spare the lives of her and her huntresses. Please, let go of me, I will let the two of you leave in peace. You can camp if you want here, but please let me live. Issei and Juniper were beyond livid by this. Issei was reminded of how Raynor was when she begged for mercy, when she was powerless and on the edge. Even Juniper could see why Issei hated the supernatural of this world. They attacked him for no reason, aside from the fact that he was a man. Additionally, Issei knew Artemis was a snitch. She would just inform her father about this, and he is not someone they wanted to fight for now, not because they are weak, but because he don't want to ruin their honeymoon. Issei knew what he had to do. He had no choice but to kill her for good. Issei, what should we do? Juniper asked Issei. She glared at Artemis. Artemis became wide-eyed as she asked before Issei could respond. Don't tell me, are you Issei Hyoudou? The one that the pillar has been looking for. Issei and Juniper only glared at Artemis. They detested Dai for obvious reasons, making the goddess shiver as Issei spoke. Yes, I am Dai's older brother, but I don't see myself as part of that clan anymore. I never was, and I am not coming back, no matter what you or the factions do. Juniper nodded in agreement as she spoke. That Dai is nothing but a piece of crap. He is not. You are lying. My future brother-in-law can't be this bad, Artemis retorted as Issei asked. Wait, future brother-in-law? Issei thought for a moment as he spoke with a tone of surprise. No way, so you're telling me that he is engaged to Athena? That is really something. Never thought they would be so foolish. Artemis gritted her teeth in anger, while Juniper remained in disbelief. She never thought someone would be this foolish, especially when someone was called the goddess of wisdom. Artemis then declared. You lied. Dai is nothing like that. Issei only rolled her eyes as Juniper sighed. She then asked, ignoring that, what should we do with her anyway? We have no choice, we must kill her, else the whole Greek pantheon will come after us. Juniper shrugged in response as she spoke. I don't mind to deal with Zeus and Artemis was about to teleport, but Issei responded by using analysis magic and disabled teleportation. She looked in horror at how he was able to disable her magic like it was nothing. She was still in disbelief of Issei being stronger and capable of doing all of that. It's useless, any magic you do. I can command it using analysis magic, which would grant me absolute control over anything I can understand. Your teleportation would not work. Goodbye and good riddance, Artemis. Issei spoke coldly as Artemis tried to run. Issei then spoke while bringing out the Star of Eden. Zerath power unleashed. Quasi-black hole. Issei generated a black hole in his palms as it started to suck Artemis into the black hole, while Juniper remained unaffected due to Issei preventing her from being harmed. She begged as she held for dear life. No, please, have mercy. Artemis screamed as she was being sucked into the black hole. Her skin, her flesh, her blood vessels and her bones were all being peeled out one by one and sucked into the black hole. She was killed immediately as she dropped her bow onto the ground. The black hole then disappeared. Issei looked at her bow, the only thing that remained of her, since even her soul was destroyed by the black hole, and spoke. All this could have been avoided had you let us go. Issei knew that the other gods would feel Artemis's presence disappearing. The camping trip was ruined as Juniper spoke, looking at her lover. It is not your fault, you tried to reason with her. Juniper looked at the bow and picked it up as she spoke, although, I must say, she has got a fine bow. Maybe we can take it back with us. She puts it in her pocket dimension. You can, but we should leave. I am pretty sure the other gods would appear anytime soon. Juniper nodded in agreement as the couple took their stuff and teleported back to their hotel rooms as Issei lied on the bed. He kept his staff back in the pocket dimension. I am not going to lie, I would have loved for the camping trip to work out, but Juniper wraps her hands around him and hugs him from the behind and speaks, "It's alright, we were able to have a lot of fun, and I did have a bit of fun fighting those huntresses, even if they weren't that much of a challenge." Issei looked at her and grew amused as he spoke, "Why does this not surprise me anyways, we should probably head to sleep." You know, Juniper spoke with a blush as her warm breath hit Issei's ear, "Maybe I can make this night even better. Artemis may have ruined it, but who is to say that we can't do it right now? Wait a minute." Issei backed away as Juniper kept crawling towards him as she spoke with an even more redder tint, "Oh, and you can unleash your fantasies onto me, I am well versed in pleasure, darling." Issei was cornered as he gulped in concern as he spoke with a sigh, "Well bucket, let's do it." Juniper only gave a smile as the lights were closed by the couple and they started to do what couples do when they are alone. Scene change. I'm Skip, brought to you by Chibi. Issei being sucked in a multicolored portal into an unknown location. The next day, Mandarin Oriental, New York, 7:30 a.m. Juniper was deep asleep, a quilt covering what seemed to be her naked body, but Issei was nowhere to be seen. He was inside the bathroom as he spoke while washing his face. "Goodness, she has a lot of stamina, how did I even keep up with her was really something." Issei spoke with a surprised tone as Drake mused in response. "She is half dragon, you can expect her to be tougher and much more resilient, and she is powerful, so you should have expected her to have a lot of stamina. But the fact that you made her pass out from pleasure shows that you have more stamina. Seriously, Drake." Issei sighed as he spoke, "I'll probably take a bath and finish it off quickly." Meanwhile, Juniper yawned as she soon woke up, but she couldn't feel Issei's next to her. She became worried as she spoke. "Ice, where are you?" Suddenly running water sounds were heard from the bathroom as she covered herself with some of her clothes and knocked on the door. "Ice, are you there?" "Yes, I am, just taking a shower." Juniper sighed in relief as she was happy that he was alright. She soon waited for him as he soon came out wearing a bathrobe as his hair was wet. They looked at each other as they turned their gazes away, remembering the pleasurable night that had happened between them as she spoke. "I'll also take a shower, wait for me." Juniper headed inside as Issei only could get dressed as he waited for his wife to come outside. She soon came outside while wiping her hair, a towel was wrapped around her figure as she spoke with a smile. "Morning, darling." Juniper spoke as she snapped her fingers and she was wearing her casual clothes. She then spoke, "So what's the plan today? We will cover the other monuments that we weren't able to visit, you cool with that?" Juniper nodded and spoke with a smile, "Of course I am." Scene change. Yellowstone National Park, 7:30 a.m. The location where it should have been sunny is now completely cloudy with black clouds. It was causing a heavy thunderstorm and rainfall. The person responsible for this was none other than Zeus. As he watched the dead corpses of the huntresses that were slain, he recognized them belonging to his now deceased daughter Artemis. She was nowhere to be found, as only that remains were her dead huntresses. Her death was felt across by almost every supernatural being, as Zeus spoke with a sad tone. "My daughter, my lovely daughter, who could have done this to you?" Zeus spoke as thunder crackled from his hands as he spoke with a growl. "Whoever was responsible for this, I will make sure they pay with blood. They will die by my hands." Zeus spoke as he teleported away, with the clouds resuming the weather that they should have been. It being sunny, the corpses were also teleported away. Zeus informed Artemis's death to the factions as they all vowed to find the killer and bring him to justice. I was the first to volunteer, wondering who was responsible for this, but he was not affected by her death all that much. Sure, there was respect, but not love. He was more interested in locating his so-called brother since he wanted his help, unaware that doing this would be his downfall. Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.